Last fall's deadly shooting at Appalachia High School.
After officers save lives in our school, you're asking whether it's worth it? Could you be more callous?
Commissioners say senior citizens will be exempt from paying school taxes. They'll take a final vote on the budget June 24th. Jennifer Perry, 95.5 WSB.
Some good news for your lunch hour. All lanes are open on the ramp from the Buford Spring Connector to northbound I-85. The DOT has completed repairs to a crack that developed late last week, forcing the closure of the ramp for most of the last 4 days. Some additional paving work will still be required on a future date, but crews will complete that work during overnight hours. 10 people are dead in a school shooting in Austria. It began just a couple hours into the school day in the city of Graz.
The mayor called the killings a terrible tragedy and said special forces were among the police deployed to the high school. Austrian news agency APA says the gunman killed himself after taking the lives of 8 students and a teacher.
Tina Kraus reports the shooter is believed to be a former student at the school. A man is stabbed to death outside a DeKalb County gas station. Now police are looking for a suspect. The victim was found outside the gas station on La Vista Road overnight and died at the scene. Investigators are still trying to identify him and process the clues to determine who may be responsible. The Douglas County Animal Shelter reopens to the public after several weeks under quarantine.
Shelter officials immediately closed everything down last month when 13 dogs were diagnosed with the highly contagious pneumovirus, which doesn't have a vaccine.
We started treating them. On top of that, we had 3 dogs that tested positive for canine parvovirus.
Douglas County Animal Services Director Vanessa Francikowski previously told WSB it can be hard to track whether or not any intakes are already sick. They're continuing a self-imposed quarantine for 30 dogs that haven't shown any symptoms. Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
After competing with hundreds of libraries, the Gwinnett County Library System has been awarded a Carnegie Grant.
11 libraries across the country will share a $5 million grant, and Gwinnett County will spend its share on the expansion of its English language classes. The library's Duffy Dixon says they are doubly grateful in this current climate of ours.
You know, at a time when funding is being decreased in a lot of areas, to get this kind of a grant means everything to us.
Dixon says the money will be used to help find volunteers and fund background checks, as well as offer bus passes to get to classes for those with limited transportation. Lisa Nicholas, 95.5 WSB.
Southern Baptists vote on same-sex marriage and other issues during their annual convention this week in Dallas, Texas. Members are considering efforts to get the Supreme Court to overturn same-sex marriage, which was legalized in all 50 states in 2015. The convention also plans to vote on measures calling for pornography and sports betting to be outlawed. They're also deciding on efforts to defund Planned Parenthood and to oppose abortion. Heads up for peach fans, Chick-fil-A is planning a peach-filled summer highlighted by a new frosted peach lemonade beverage offering. They're also serving a fried peach pie and peach fruit waffle at certain locations around Atlanta. All of this in addition to the peach milkshake, which will be back for its 16th summer. A recent survey revealing Chick-fil-A is the subject of more online searches than any other fast food chain among Georgia residents. The Atlanta-based company consistently ranks high for service speed and for service quality. It is 12:04. It is time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams is in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Travel advisory continues into Marietta. Crash investigation. I-75 northbound at Delk Road, exit 261. Only the right lane is open. It has slowed the ride back to Cumberland Boulevard. Also got 285 northbound, the inner loop on the brake lights back before South Cobb Drive. 285 westbound, the outer loop. You're slow out of Sandy Springs from Riverside Drive. The express lanes are still not pointed northbound, so if you have a Peach Pass, that is not going to help the situation. Trying to get up into Marietta, Cobb Parkway, Highway 41, and Powers Ferry will get you around that, but be mindful those are very slow as alternates. And all the trouble spots downtown and midtown have cleared. 75, 85 north up around Peachtree, Pine Street, and at 17th Street. Some lingering volume from University Avenue, but just hang in there. It is starting to improve. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
And now it is time for Atlanta's radio's only 5-day forecast, sponsored by Shoemate, the official air conditioning of Atlanta. Here's WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards.
A mix of sun and clouds for this afternoon with a few hit-or-miss rain showers moving through, high 84. Drying out for tonight, lows in the mid-60s. Tomorrow, abundant sunshine, high 87. Hot and humid on Thursday with partly cloudy skies, high 88. A few pop-up showers and thunderstorms can't be ruled out on Friday, otherwise partly cloudy, high 86. Mostly cloudy with widespread rain showers and thunderstorms on Saturday, high 83.
And right now in Sandy Springs, it is 78 degrees. College Park, 80 degrees. And in Midtown Atlanta, it is 77 degrees at 12:30. At 12 o'clock, breaking news. More news at 12:30, breaking news when it happens. I'm Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. The phone number is 877-973-7425. I'm going to apologize to everyone who listened yesterday, but you've got to give me a moment to reset this and sound somewhat like a broken record. Because I was talking to a friend of mine earlier. He called. He said he was actually very disappointed, did not think that the National Guard really needed to be sent into Los Angeles, and thought perhaps it was exacerbating the situation in Los Angeles. And I had to explain to him the truth. It's not a partisan talking point. This is the truth, and it's something you're not actually getting from the American news media, which is really disappointing, to say the least, that we're not getting these sorts of things from the American news media. And that is, in particular, that the president had to call in federal authorities because the state of California has a law that prohibits local law enforcement from giving assistance if it is a civil immigration issue. Now, what's the difference? First, let me break this down for you. The legal background comes in handy here. What's the difference between a civil background and a criminal? Under the law in California, by the way, Connecticut has this law. In Connecticut, it's called the Trust Act. In California, it's called the California Values Act. New York has a similar law. There are progressive and conservative groups. ALEC is one of the best ones, the American Legislative Exchange Council, and that's on the conservative side. Progressives have the same sort of group, and they draft what are called model pieces of legislation. So you can take their legislation and, with tweaks for your particular state's nuances, adjust the law and get it passed. And progressives got together and did a model law called the Trust Act. Connecticut embraced it, New York embraced it, Illinois embraced it, Colorado embraced it, Washington embraced it, Portland or Oregon embraced it, California's embraced it. California is the California Values Act. And what this model legislation embraced by these states does is it says state and local law enforcement is prohibited by law from assisting the federal government when it comes to civil immigration enforcement actions. Now, what is a civil immigration enforcement action? There are criminal law and civil law. The civil law is between you and me, and the civil law is between us and the United States when there's not a crime. So when the EPA comes to you and files a suit because of water runoff from your property, it's not a crime. There's a civil action against you. It's not a criminal action. You're not going to go to jail. When the federal government randomly decides they're going to go find illegal immigrants, round them up and deport them, that's not a criminal action because there's no crime being committed. Now, you've got to pause your gut reaction as a conservative to say, the crime was when they came across the border illegally. Yes, but that's not what we're talking about here. Yes, they came across the border illegally, but now they're here. And while they're here, if they are engaged in the commission of a crime while they are here, then the local law enforcement and state law enforcement is allowed to help. However, if it's just ICE deciding it's time to go round up illegal immigrants, that's a civil action. There's no crime being committed at the time other than they're here illegally, and for purposes of civil versus criminal distinction in that law, that doesn't matter. What matters is, are they engaged in a mugging? Are they engaged in a murder? Are they engaged in a burglary? Are they engaged in a car theft? If not, then it's a civil detainment matter. And if it's a civil detainment matter, sheriff's deputies, local police, and state police in California are not allowed to help. So here is the scenario as outlined not by yours truly, a conservative talk show host, but by the Los Angeles Times. On Friday, a member of the California Assembly was driving down the road in his district in Los Angeles, in Paramount, California to be specific, saw ICE agents headed in the opposite direction, turned around to follow them, and saw them holding up at an ICE facility next to a Home Depot, and immediately deduced they must be doing civil immigration detainment. So he gets on social media and says, "Hey guys, I see ICE. It looks like they're rounding people up," or some such. And summons the mob. Now, he says he didn't mean to summon rioters. He was just letting people know ICE was in the area and that his community always pulls together and they stand up to bullies. So people started showing up. The crowd began to build. And you would think, well, surely the Los Angeles County Police Department and CHIPS, the California Highway Patrol, that surely they're able to do something. No, because you are constitutionally allowed to protest. Never mind there were no permits. Never mind that people a crowd is building at this Home Depot. It's kind of ironic. The illegal aliens are at the Home Depot and the police were across the street marshaling forces at the donut shop, and that's not a joke. It really was happening. The crowd continues to build. The agitators begin to show up. So now here's a scenario. This is a big scenario. You have hundreds of protesters versus dozens of ICE agents. And the California Highway Patrol and the Los Angeles County Police, they can't do anything because at the moment there is no violence. And then the rocks start being thrown by the agitators. Remember what's happening here, and we've been catching this on video, is people are showing up. In fact, there's a video, I retweeted it. You can see it in my Twitter feed at EW Erickson. A truck shows up where the rioters are and drops off more concrete bricks to hurl at the police. And the hurling starts. Well, here's the scenario now. You've got hundreds of now rioters, dozens of ICE agents between them and the detention facility, and the police in the back. So the police have got to wade through the crowd. Well, the crowd turns on the police. The news media, CNN, Brian Stelter, by the way, is positively, well, you know, you're not allowed to use the word master room. You can't have the master bedroom or anything like that. So he's primary baiting on television, basically, over that there's nothing happening. There's nothing. This is located on like one street block, one corner. It's not widespread. It's not all over. It doesn't matter. January 6th was, you know, people who live 6 blocks from the Capitol on January 6th had no idea there was a riot happening. People 6 blocks from where this is have no idea there's a riot happening other than the faint smell. But it's of tear gas. It's just wild to me that in Kenosha, Wisconsin, in Portland, Oregon, in Seattle, Washington, in Los Angeles, California, when progressives are rioting, the news media positively orgasmic the way they handle it of it's not happening, the city's not burning, it's just one street block. It doesn't matter. It's still rioting, it's still violent, they're still burning up cop cars. The chief of police for Los Angeles is insisting that the police were overwhelmed. This is the police chief. It's not me telling you this. It's the police chief in Los Angeles said late Sunday night at a press conference that they were overwhelmed. Local law enforcement was overwhelmed. So for Brian Stelter and for MSNBC and for CNN and everyone else to be out there saying, well, it's just a local thing. It's not a big deal. It doesn't matter. Because the chief of police says they're overwhelmed. The chief of police says they're undermanned. This is the LA police chief.
To the people who are not happy with the fact that ICE is in the community doing what ICE does, you know, I respect ICE for being a fellow law enforcement agency. They have their mission. They have their what they have to do. We don't engage in that activity, but again, we can't preclude them from doing that. They have every right to do that. I ask people in the community to trust the LAPD, that we're not there for that purpose, and that if they have something they need us to be able to address, we're there for them. As far as the big picture of what can I recommend they do or not do, that's something, it's a federal issue, and the federal authorities have the right to be able to do what they're doing. As far as people are worried about the violence that we're seeing, this violence that I've seen is disgusting. It's escalated now since the beginning of this incident. What we saw the first night was bad. What we've seen subsequent to that is getting increasingly worse and more violent. Tonight we had individuals out there shooting commercial-grade fireworks at our officers. That can kill you. And we have adapted our tactics to be able to have a chance to be able to take these people into custody and to be able to hold them accountable. We are overwhelmed as far as the number of people out there engaged in this type of activity and the type of things that they're doing. They'll take backpacks, and the backpack will have a cinder block in it. They have a hammer, and they'll break up the cinder block and use that, pass it around to throw at officers, to throw at cars, and throw at other people. We've seen people with hammers, and you've broadcasted, breaking the bollards behind the federal building and taking the rocks, if you will, or pieces of concrete, and throwing them at officers. We've had liquid of who knows what description thrown at officers. There's no limit to what they're doing to our officers. And again, as I mentioned in my statement, I can't thank our folks enough and our partner agency police officials for going out there and taking care of the community and trying to be able to put themselves between the threat and the overall community. And they do this night in and night out. And in these past couple of nights, we've seen it at a level that I think disgusts every good person.
Every good person, so not members of the media who are insisting it's no big deal. Here's a wild juxtaposition. That I need to play these videos for you. This is first Erin Burnett on CNN.
We're going to see a lot of protesters walk around us, and a lot of them, as you see, with their hands up, peaceful protest is the chant that we've heard again and again. I'd say, Abby, there's a few people that I've started to recognize. They are always right in the front, and they haven't done anything violent. They've not done anything violent, but they are agitating, right? They're happy to have an altercation if one presents itself. But there has been no violence, so I think Jason described it very well. We'll see how it goes as it gets dark.
There has been no violence. Well, now here's another CNN reporter during the day. She mentioned Jason. Here's Jason Carroll on CNN during the day, not at night.
When you consider what you were saying, Abby, which is actually a very good point, when you consider the amount of bottles, the amount of debris that have been thrown at these officers, one might expect that there might be more arrests, that you might be seeing more of these types of arrests on camera that you witnessed. But we have not seen that. We have not seen that. But what we have seen is standing out here in a group, and then someone comes up in a black hoodie and says, "Let's get it on," and then starts throwing rocks or projectiles at these officers. What they do at that point is they use their flashbangs to alert the crowd, to get the crowd to move back, and in some cases getting the crowd to disperse. But what we are not seeing, at least at this point, are the type of arrests that you've just witnessed. Now, having said that, it doesn't mean that, in the next hour, as the sun goes down, as it gets darker, as more of the folks who wanted to come out and make a statement about migrants and about federal policy, as those people start to disappear, what you're left with is, the only way to say it is a harder crowd. At that point, maybe we'll start to see more of those arrests. But you're absolutely right. Haven't seen a lot of that, at least not yet.
So we have Erin Burnett wading through the crowd saying it's peaceful. And then we have Jason Carroll at CNN saying guys are coming up in black hoodies and they're throwing rocks. And now the New York Times is in the disinformation news. Here we go. Misleading photographs, videos, and texts have spread widely on social media as protests against immigrant raids have unfolded in Los Angeles, rehashing old conspiracies. The flood of falsehoods online appears intended to stoke outrage. They also add to confusion over what exactly was happening on the streets. There were numerous scenes of protesters throwing rocks or other objects at law enforcement and setting cars ablaze, including self-driving Waymo taxis. At the same time, false images spread to revive old conspiracy theories. There we go, because someone somewhere put up an image of the George Floyd riots. They can discredit the entire thing. This is playing marvelously into Republican hands as Democrats in the media never learned their lesson from the Joe Biden cover-up, are rushing to call these things cheap fakes when it's real. They just don't want you to believe your eyes.
Have something to say? Hello. Call the show. 1-877-97-ERIC. That's 1-877-973-7425.
1221 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Crash investigation continues. It's travel advisory, just a left lane open. 75 northbound Delk Road, exit 261. Slow back before Cumberland Boulevard. It's also jammed up 285 both ways. Trying to get onto 75 northbound. The express lane still pointed southbound, so that's not going to help you for an alternate. Cobb Parkway, Highway 41, or Powers Ferry. They're slow, but they are the alternates. Traffic brought to you by the Georgia Lottery. Tonight's Mega Millions jackpot is $243 million. Now, with bigger jackpots, better odds, and a built-in multiplier, drawings are every Tuesday. That's tonight and Friday. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
In Atlanta, there is always something happening.
Tanker truck crashed into the median.
The Triple Team Traffic Center has you covered.
No traffic getting through in either direction.
Helping you on your commute.
Avoid the area at all costs. Take Highway 155 or Highway 4223.
Brought to you by the Cool Ray Lifetime Parts and Labor Warranty.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Is your old garage door a real clunker? Overhead Door Company of Atlanta is paying cash for your clunkers now. They'll haul away your old garage door and give you instant credit towards the new insulated doors. $200 for the first garage door and $100 for each additional door. Get $200 cash for your old entry door, too. It's cashed for clunkers now at Overhead Door Company of Atlanta. Convenient, free, in-home estimates. Schedule online at overheaddooratlanta.com or call 404-USA Door.
The most consistent thing about summer in Georgia is the scorching heat, and the last thing you want is your AC unit not keeping you cool. Don't sweat it. Call the name you can trust, Jape Services. Hi, this is Daniel Jape, and you can count on us to go above and beyond when repairing or replacing your AC unit. Call 24/7 and speak to a representative to book your appointment, or book online at japeservices.com.
To trust, you can count on us. Jape Services.
When it rains, it pours right into your crawl space, and that creates that musty smell and dangerous mold growth under your house. Meteorologist Christina Edwards here for American Crawl Space Solutions. Make the smell and the water go away and stop the water from coming back. Call American Crawl Space Solutions. They're experts at keeping your crawl space dry and preventing the mold from growing in your home. Give them a call today.
American Crawl Space Solutions. Foundations too.
For many women in our community, support for our physical and mental health feels out of reach.
When your workday is long.
And your budget is tight.
And your village is busy.
And the road between home and help is a 6-lane highway with no crosswalk.
Northside Hospital believes women deserve better.
Northside is rolling up our sleeves and getting to work.
We got your house call.
Heard.
Learn more at northside.com/heard.
Passion. It's the difference between getting it done and being exceptional. For your home's exterior renovation, hire a company passionate about your project. Trust the Plus. Painting Plus.
Hi, I'm Charlie. My passion for high-quality remodeling began when I started my business at just 15. Now we have grown to the Plus family of businesses. If you hear the Plus, it's us.
If your home's exterior has it, the Plus can improve it. Painting Plus. Siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and more. Trust the Plus. PaintingPlus.com.
Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches offers you the finest selection of unique diamonds, sapphires, rubies, emeralds, and Rolex watches. If quality and value matter, Lee Brandt is your trustworthy, locally owned jewelry store, located in Sandy Springs in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center, or visit LeeBrandt.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
There's a new optimism in the air, and we think investors like you might have the best year ever. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. Last year, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Everyday folks from all walks of life have enjoyed 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of small businesses right here at home. If you're a qualified investor and have a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest rates. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. We believe this is going to be a special year and a great year. We've got the projects. Now we need partners like you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. Purchasers must verify their SEC accredited investor status. Securities are not being offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
You can be live on Eric's show by calling 877-97-ERIC. That's 877-973-7425.
Rui Teixeira is a Democratic strategist, pundit, demographer. He's one of the guys who believed that demography was destiny and the nation was headed to the left, to the Democrats, and these days is like, boy, did I get it wrong. Turns out the working class moved to the right. He believed there would be a big coalition of Democrats of the working class. He's got a piece in the Free Press. The LA riots are a Trump ad. As the riots in Los Angeles rage on, one question keeps going through my brain. Have Democrats learned anything? The chaos in Southern California could have been designed in a lab to exploit Democratic weak spots, combining the issues of illegal immigration, crime, and public disorder. Yet their most visible response to the anti-deportation riots in Los Angeles has been to denounce President Trump for sending National Guard troops to quell the riots. The situation, they insist, is under control, or at least it was until Trump intervened. That view is not shared by some in charge of actually doing the quelling. As Los Angeles Police Chief Jim McDonnell admitted at a Sunday evening press conference, I played you the audio, we are overwhelmed. Meanwhile, California Governor Gavin Newsom waved the bloody shirt of January 6th, arguing that was when the National Guard was needed and that therefore Trump is a hypocrite. The Democrats are having a moment. You're probably having a moment as well, and the markets certainly are. On July 1st, the new Basel III banking rules go into full effect, and they could reshape global finance overnight. For decades, gold's been treated as a second-class collateral, allowing banks to flood the market with what people call paper gold. Essentially, it's leveraged 100 to 1. It's paper claiming there's some gold, and it's not really that backed by gold. Under the new rules, only physical, fully allocated gold will qualify as Tier 1 collateral on par with cash. Paper gold's got to be backed by at least 85% real metal. Central banks aren't waiting. They have been stockpiling gold for some time. On July 6th and 7th, the BRIC nations are gathering to try to ditch the U.S. dollar and settle trade with gold. That's going to cause the price to go up even more. So what do? Act now. Call my friends at Swiss America, trusted leader in precious metals for 40 years. Call them at 800-289-2646. Tell them Eric sent you. That's 800-289-2646. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, this is Chris Chandler. When you join us Wednesday, starting at 5 for Atlanta's Morning News, the latest overnight info from Los Angeles, Washington, and the protests around the country. Breaking metro stories, too, and our exclusive 5-day forecast. Plus, why Clark Howard says you should keep your kids in the loop about your finances, and Triple Team Traffic, get you to work on time. Join us for Atlanta's Morning News. We start at 5 on 95.5 WSB.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic,
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
Good afternoon at 12:30. I'm Graham Carroll. This news brought to you by Jim Ellis Automotive. Our top local story, affordable housing, a hot topic at today's Cobb County Commission meeting. Recent Walton High School graduate Carter Ray telling the commissioners he worries for the future of his generation.
I'm scared that I'll never be able to own a home, forced to rent for my entire life, that I'll never be able to achieve the American dream. And so are tens of thousands of young people across the county who don't often have their voices heard in this room.
Others concerned about new apartment and townhome communities putting a strain on local schools by increasing student enrollment beyond capacity. And district leaders also worry high-density housing could stretch resources and require costly expansions. The Georgia Supreme Court has struck down 4 of 7 election rules passed ahead of the November 2024 election, saying they exceeded the state election board's authority. The invalidated rules included measures on hand-counting ballots and certifying results. 2 other rules were sent back to a lower court for further review. One rule was upheld, requiring video surveillance of drop boxes after polls close. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth facing bipartisan criticism today over his decision to deploy troops to Los Angeles. Lawmakers expressing frustration also over the Trump administration's failure to deliver a full defense budget. Pressed on the cost of the troop deployment to L.A., Hegseth's acting comptroller said it would be $134 million. Hegseth defending the move, saying the troops are needed to protect federal agents. The debate over pickleball continues in Tucker. The city's mayor making a last-minute move to rebid a controversial project to add more pickleball courts at the Tucker Recreation Center after council members voted against it last month. Councilmember Alexis Weaver objected.
We really need to involve the community and build trust back. And doing this last minute, 11th hour, isn't the right way to do it.
Critics have threatened to sue if the project moves forward. It is 12:32. Live team coverage of traffic and weather is next.
Hey, it's Scott Slade for FGA Roofing. If your home's exterior could use an updated look, or maybe one of your neighbor's designer roofs has caught your eye, and your current roof has started to show its age, then now's the perfect time to check out FGA Roofing for the latest in architectural shingles, timberland shingles, and more. Slate, tile, wood shake, cedar roofs, FGA has them all. FGA Roofing offers 0% financing for 12 months with your good credit. Get the roof you want now and pay over time. Click firstgaroof.com. That's firstgaroof.com.
This is Andy Harris, president of Coosa Valley Credit Union, with a personal invitation for you to join our newest branches in Woodstock, Canton, or Dallas. We've been in business in Northwest Georgia for 70 years, and we're proud to now offer kinder banking to Cobb, Cherokee, and Paulding County, where you'll always speak to a real person. With 11 locations, Coosa Valley Credit Union is always local and nearby. Experience kinder banking and stop in a Coosa Valley Credit Union branch near you.
Your neighbors won't say what they're thinking, but I will. Your siding is hideous. Dave Baker here for the only siding company I recommend, Nelson Exteriors. Your ugly siding is faded, warped, cracked, rotting, and just falling apart. Nelson will properly install beautiful new siding with unmatched quality and craftsmanship so it lasts and lasts. They're licensed, insured, and a James Hardy Elite Preferred Contractor. Count on Nelson for an extraordinary renovation. Google Nelson Exteriors.
At Kroger, we've lowered prices on over 1,000 items across our stores so you can save even more. Whether you're shopping in-store or online at Kroger, we've lowered prices on thousands of the items your family wants and needs. And with lower prices, your dollar goes further every time you shop with us. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Check out this amazing deal on Kellogg's cereal. Select varieties or buy 2, get 3 free with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
When everyone in the family wants something different from this year's vacation, there's only one thing to do. Plan for Pigeon Forge. From gorgeous mountain views, shows, and shopping for leisure lovers to coasters, a 200-foot swing, and hundreds more rides for adventure seekers. Plus Dollywood's epic array of fun. There's plenty of variety for the whole family, all in one place. Unique experiences, quality time, and memories for years to come. Find your personal favorites. Plan your getaway at mypigeonforge.com.
It is 12:34. Live team coverage of traffic and weather brought to you by Findlay Roofing. Alex Williams is in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Making progress with this crash cleanup in Marietta, 75 northbound, Delk Road, exit 261. They're picking up the cones from the left lanes, but it's going to take a while to improve that ride out of northwest Atlanta, as well as on 285. Highway 41 Cobb Parkway is jammed as an alternate. Think about maybe Powers Ferry Road. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Partly cloudy with a few hit-or-miss rain showers moving through. High 84.
More news at 1 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
Folks, let's jump over to the White House right now. The president is speaking from inside the Oval Office about the riots that are happening in L.A., among other topics.
They're great people, but they're given instructions not to do this, not to do that. But in this case, they were trying their best. They were not able to handle it. It was out of control. When we got there, and you have to remember, I've been here before, and I went right by every rule. And I waited for governors to say, send in the National Guard. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. And they just wouldn't do it. It kept going on and on, got worse and worse. And in Minneapolis, that city was burning down. It was 7 days. And I said, I don't care. The governor, who's a governor that just happened to be running for vice president, a total.
Well, he wasn't going to say something bad. That's just the monitor system is messing up on me here as I get this. The president speaking in the Oval Office. Let me see if I can jump over to a more stable feed here so we can get the president in as he's talking about these riots in Los Angeles. He has talked to Gavin Newsom, he said, and told Newsom, quote, do better, according to the president. Of course, Gavin Newsom insisting that everything is hunky-dory in Los Angeles, even as a part of it is burning. But then they don't want to talk about that.
But they know if they go there, they're not going to get anywhere because we have the National Guard. We backed it up with a number of Marines. Yeah.
Mr. President, do you agree with Governor Abbott soon signing legislation to mandate the 10 Commandments in school classrooms?
Having to do with what?
Governor Abbott is soon going to sign legislation to mandate displays of the 10 Commandments in school classrooms. Do you support him?
I have to take a look at it. I'm going to have to look at it.
Will the National Guard be in California indefinitely? How long will they be there until you think?
Until there's no danger. It's easy. Look, it's common sense. You ask me that question. When there's no danger, they'll leave. You would have had a horrible situation had I not sent them in. Horrible. You'd be reporting on a lot of death and a lot of destruction that's not going to take place. I think if you look, every night it got less and less. They were met with very strong force, the bad people, the bad, sick people that do what they do. But these are paid people in many cases, not in all cases, but in many cases. And they really are, they're agitators.
I was wondering if you had any response to Mexican President Sheinbaum, who condemned the violence there. Have you been in touch with her at all?
Said what?
I was wondering if you had any response to what Mexican President Claudine Sheinbaum said.
What'd she say?
She condemned the violence in L.A.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah. Have you been in touch with her at all?
Well, you think I don't condemn it? I condemn the violence in L.A., ladies and gentlemen, but I also stopped the violence in L.A. And by doing what I did, I stopped the violence in L.A. And that would have been, I think, maybe I'd ask Christie to speak to that. That would have been an unbelievable tragedy. We would be talking, I don't know, that would even be here right now. It would have been so bad. I'd probably maybe be out there. I don't know, but Christy, could you speak to that?
Absolutely. So in 2020, I was a governor of a neighboring state to Tim Walz and watched him let his city burn. And the president and I have talked about this in the past, and he was not going to let that happen to another city and to another community where a bad governor made a bad decision. So Claudia Sheinbaum came out and encouraged more protests in LA, and I condemn her for that. She should not be encouraging violent protests that are going on. If people are allowed to peacefully protest, but the violence that we're seeing is not acceptable, and it's not going to happen in America. This president is standing up for the average American who wants to walk their child to school every day safely, run their small business, and provide for their families. That's the action that he's taken. He has every authority under the Constitution to send these National Guard under Title X into these communities and make sure that operations go smoothly, that law enforcement officers are protected, that they can continue to do their work without fear of being injured or killed or disrespected, and that they can go home to their families at night. So I'm incredibly proud of the president for activating the National Guard and for sending in these Marines, because these Marines are specifically trained to meet the need that we have on the ground in LA right now. And Governor Newsom has done a disservice to the state of California for many years. The people there should never elect him into a leadership position ever again. He clearly cannot.
He's grossly incompetent.
Terrible.
When it comes to his railroad that he's building, where it's like 30 times over budget, nobody's ever seen anything like it. Now it doesn't even go to San Francisco and LA. It's way short of it. After years of work and overruns like nobody's. Those contractors are some of the wealthiest people in the world, I guarantee you that, because that money goes to those contractors. They just did a number on the wallet of the people of California. That train, you should look at that train. That is the greatest. I've never seen cost overruns. I've seen cost overruns and great incompetence over my life. I've never seen anything like that.
Mr. President, these protests obviously started in reaction to these large-scale ICE operations in Los Angeles. Should people expect to see similar operations in the rest of the country?
Yeah.
And will similar protests see similar response?
As you know, we're moving murderers out of our country that were put here by Biden or the Autopen. The Autopen really did. I mean, the people, whether it's Lisa Monaco or whoever operated the Autopen, these are criminals. The people are criminals that allowed these criminals into our country. And I don't think that Biden knew what the hell he was doing. I don't think he even knew about it. But when they opened up our borders for the whole world to come in, yeah, we're going to get them out. We're getting them out. We're starting to get acknowledgement from the courts that, you know, there's a system. They come in without courts and they go out, they want trials and everything else. I think that's starting to work out now. Judges are starting to see what a terrible situation it is. Many of those people that you saw on television last night are criminals that were allowed into our country by Biden. And they want to stay. And we don't want them. And they come from jails and they come from mental institutions and they come from all over the world, not just South America. And we're not going to let them stay. And this is the first, perhaps, of many, or perhaps, you know, if we didn't attack this one very strongly, you'd have them all over the country. But I can inform the rest of the country that when they do it, if they do it, they're going to be met with equal or greater force than we met right here. We did a great job. The people, you, Christy, and Tom Holman, and all of the people, Pete Hegseth, all of the people involved did an amazing job. We stopped a disaster. And it looks like a planned disaster, not just, this didn't just happen. They had weapons, they had tools, they had everything you needed. I mean, they were throwing iced water in bottles, in glass bottles, at officers and at soldiers. These are, you could not use the word insurrection, but you could also use the word, these are very dangerous people, they're bad people. They were met with heavy force and they folded. And they may be there a little bit tonight, they may be there a little bit, but it seems to be getting less and less because they're going there and they're met with a very heavy force. And if they weren't, you would have that city right now would be on fire. It would be burning down. The rest of it, what's left over, because the other fire was started because they wouldn't allow water into LA. They wouldn't allow water into California because they had it all shifted out to the Pacific Ocean. And I turned it around. And I told them to do it in my first term, and they didn't do it. And we had COVID, and they didn't do it. And I told them to do it. We did it in the second. Now we have billions of gallons of water flowing down. But Newsom should have done this. He's an incompetent man and an incompetent governor. Okay, any other questions?
Mr. President, any message to adversaries as the Army kicks off 250-year birthday celebration?
I just think it's amazing. We're going to have a fantastic June 14th parade, Flag Day. It's going to be an amazing day. We have tanks.
All right, we can stop it there as he winds this thing down, going after Gavin Newsom a lot, saying that the federal troops are going to be in L.A. until things calm down, and yet you have all of these talking points now, and it is a talking point. You do need to understand this. It is a talking point claiming that this the presence is what's exacerbating and causing an escalation. This is Jonathan Wackrow, who is on CNN talking about this.
And really what law enforcement's primary role, and again, I'm going to talk about like the LAPD, their primary role remains facilitating the First Amendment rights while ensuring public safety and civil order. So what the federal government is doing is they're deploying these troops to, protect federal facilities. But is that proportionate to what we see going on right now? Is that an escalation? And again, time will tell, but I think that across the country, the mobilization of the National Guard, the Marines in LA is really being utilized as a call to action by protesters. It's a trigger or a catalyst for further escalation of these protests. It's not proportionate to what we're seeing the issues being raised right now. So again, this is a balance. And to your point, are we at a tipping point? We may be very soon.
Are we at a tipping point? We may be very soon. The troops there as a provocation, it doesn't matter. And you know what? The Democrats, to a degree, if it is, let's just take them. let's just take them at their word that the federal authorities being present there actually exacerbates the situation. Let's just take that at their word. The situation is exacerbated by the federal presence. Take them at their word. They're playing into Donald Trump's hands. And they don't want to say that, of course, but they're playing into his hands. The so-called optics here do not actually help the Democrats. I mean, listen, this is the spin from a Democrat progressive reporter on MSNBC.
The big picture is Los Angeles is a so-called majority-minority city and a majority-minority state. There are more people of color that live in Los Angeles than white people at this point, and many of those people are undocumented. By some counts, 10% of the population of L.A. County, one of the largest counties, the largest county by population in the United States, is undocumented, maybe as many as 1 million people. Those people are our neighbors, our coworkers, our classmates, our friends, our parishioners, fellow parishioners in churches. They are part of the fabric of the city of Los Angeles.
Essentially acknowledging that much of LA is illegal immigrants. Of course, they don't want to say that. Undocumented, they say. I mean, but the bottom line, the reaction, the reality is that they're not supposed to be here. And yet they are. So where do people stand on this? Harry Enten is the polling data guru at CNN. You should listen, Democrats. You don't have to listen to me. Just listen to Harry Enten at CNN.
Start off on the fact that immigrant citizens, immigrant voters, foreign-born voters have gone tremendously to the right on this issue in 2024 and 2025 versus where they were in 2020. Closest to or trust more in immigration. You go back to 2020. Democrats, get this, held a 32-point lead on this issue. Immigrant voters were in the Democratic camp. Jump forward to 2024, 2025. Look at that shift, a 40-point shift to the right among immigrant voters. Republicans now lead on this issue by 8 points over Democrats, more so than any other group that I could find. The group of voters who became more hawkish on immigration were, in fact, immigrants themselves, immigrants who are registered to vote in this country.
So that's on that issue. How about how they feel about kind of traditionally, historically, about Donald Trump?
Yeah, so, you see this shift and you go, what is going on underneath the hood? Well, take a look, Donald Trump. You remember when he first ran back in 2016, immigrant voters were one of his weakest spots. But look at this, Trump's vote share in presidential elections among, again, immigrant citizens, those who are registered to vote. Look at this. In 2016, he got 36% of the vote. You go to 2020, 39% of the vote. Look at this, in 2024, all the way up to 47% of the vote. Some polls I looked at had him barely losing that vote. Some polls I looked at had him barely winning that vote. Again, there is no block of voters that shifted more to the right from 2020 to 2024 than immigrant voters, and Donald Trump, at least in some surveys, actually won that vote. On average, it's about equal. So there may be all this stuff, right, about undocumented immigrants and Trump being harsh on them, but immigrant voters themselves have increasingly liked Donald Trump and have increasingly moved to the right on immigration into the Republican camp.
Well, then on that, what you're getting at, how immigrant citizens, voters, feel about people in the country illegally.
Yeah, and this is where it all kind of comes together, Kate Baldwin. Look at this. The net favorable rating, immigrants who are here illegally, among immigrant citizens, again, those registered to vote. In 2020, look at this, plus 23 points on the net favorable rating. But look at where we were in 2024, minus 6 points, underwater. So immigrant citizens have become increasingly unfavorable in their views of those immigrants who are here illegally. So I think it's so important when we're talking about this debate from a political angle to separate those out who are undocumented immigrants versus those who are here legally and those who are citizens and those who are voters, because that group of voters has felt increasingly distant from those immigrants who are here legally. And so again, when we're talking about this, at least from a political angle, this is why Donald Trump feels so comfortable, because in fact, amongst the group that you would think that would be most opposed to this, in fact, they become increasingly favorable, not just towards Donald Trump, but towards a Republican point of view on immigration.
Boom, as the kids say, boom. Here's the bottom line on this before we step out. Harry Hinton's got the data. He's accurate in the data, and it's what I've been telling you now for the last couple of years. The people in this country most hostile to illegal immigration are legal immigrants to the United States. People who followed the process, came here, became citizens. They're the ones who hate illegal immigration the most, and they've had a massive shift to the GOP because of it. That's just the reality. You can complain all you want, Democrats, but you are on the losing side of an issue, and Donald Trump knows it. Now, you might know you need technology upgrades in your future. Well, you ought to go reach out to Vision Computer and let them handle the upgrades. If you go to visioncomputers.com or call them at 404-COMPUTE, they can get you in a new computer, and they can take your existing computer and they can copy everything over to the new computer so it's set up exactly like the old computer, so you never skip a beat as long as everything's Windows 11 compatible. So you got proprietary software, whatever you need, they can copy it over for you, everything, the macros, the settings, the extensions, the preferences, it all just works. And then you get their bleeding edge customer support as well. I challenge you, go Google Vision Computers, see the thousands and thousands of 5-star reviews of their tech support. You'll be in fine, capable hands. And if you ever have a problem or a question, you get a phone number, you call them 15 seconds or less. They get on the phone with you, they answer your question, they can even remote in and help you with your computer. VisionComputers.com or 404-COMPUTE. Now, if you call them and say, Eric sent me, if you use my name, you're going to save even more money. VisionComputers.com, 404-COMPUTE. And by the way, if you just want the tech support, you can get just the tech support. It's $179 a year. That's it. Not a month, not a day, not a week, a year. VisionComputers.com, 404-COMPUTE.
Honest.
Putting your trust in me to tell you what's going on.
Transparent.
I need you to know this from the bottom of my heart.
Giving you the information without the noise.
My job isn't to tell you what you want to hear, it's to tell you the truth.
It's the Eric Erickson Show.
1252, Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Much better news for those trying to make their way toward Marietta via I-75 northbound. The crash investigation is cleared. All lanes are open. 75 northbound and Delk Road exit 261. It's going to take a little bit of time for the 285 north interloop delays to shake out, stretching up through Smyrna Vinings as well as westbound out of Sandy Springs. But just hang in there. All lanes, again, are 75 north are back open. Just cleared up a crash downtown from the HOV lane, 75-85 northbound, right around University Avenue. Traffic brought to you by Scott Antique Markets. The Scott Antique Markets is this weekend. There's no telling what you'll find. Visit the Atlanta Expo Centers at I-285 and Jonesboro Road. It's the Scott Antique Markets this weekend. ScottAntiqueMarket.com. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Buying a new car? Need help fixing your current car? What's the safest car for a first-time buyer? The Car Guys have the answer. Join Shelley Winter and automotive expert Kevin Deutsch this and every Saturday at 12 for all your car needs. The Car Guys, presented by Butler Lexus of South Atlanta, Saturdays at noon on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Going back to college, I have sent my father Omaha steaks for Father's Day because who doesn't love steak? Dads love steak. A recent survey showed 75% of Americans agree there's no better way than to spend Father's Day than grilling with the family. Dads love to grill. I remember some great memories as a kid of my dad grilling. Now I do. And I get him Omaha Steaks, and you can too. Shop omahasteaks.com and give your dad the legendary Heartland quality he deserves. Plus, my listeners get an extra $35 off when you put Eric in, E-R-I-C-K, as your promo code at checkout. Unbelievable quality from Omaha Steaks. I am a longtime gift giver of Omaha Steaks. My dad loves Omaha Steaks. Your dad will too. Go to omahasteaks.com, load up your cart with deliciousness, get $35 off, minimum order required, when you use promo code ERIC at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com. You'll get an extra $35 off with promo code ERIC at checkout. Your dad will love you for it.
I'm thrilled with my Infinity from Marvin Fiberglass Windows. Hi, it's meteorologist Glenn Burns inviting you to North Georgia Replacement Windows' brand new Alpharetta showroom. I was blown away. Bring your window and door project to life here. See the fiberglass difference in person. Your stress-free experience includes a quick, accurate proposal, no pressure. Window and door shopping made simple.
Infinity. 'Infinity from Marvin, replacement windows, yeah. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. 1252, Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Much better news for those trying to make their way toward Marietta via I-75 northbound. The crash investigation is cleared. All lanes are open. 75 northbound and Delk Road exit 261. It's the Scott Antique Markets this weekend.
Going back to college, I have sent my father Omaha steaks for Father's Day because who doesn't love steak? Dads
You know the best part about hot weather is walking into a cool, comfortable house, right? Dave Baker here for Coolray Heating and Cooling. Summer is here. Don't let HVAC problems ruin your fun. Coolray is offering up to $2,250 in rebates and free installation with the purchase of a complete home carrier system. Ready to stay cool this summer? Visit Coolray.com to book your appointment today and keep your home cool and comfortable all summer long. Coolray and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
Visit Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches when shopping for that special person in your life. Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches offers you the finest selection of unique diamonds, sapphires, rubies, emeralds, and Rolex watches. If quality and value matter, Lee Brandt is your trustworthy, locally owned jewelry store. Get a free estimate and have your Rolex serviced by their Rolex-trained watchmaker while you wait. Your watch never leaves the store. Located on Roswell Road in Sandy Springs in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center, or visit LeeBrandt.com.
Home's your happy place, but not when critters bust in, and it happened to me. Mark Aram here for Breda Pest Management. My wife and I were shocked to see two beady little eyes in the basement. So gross. Breda kicked those critters out, and we're still protected with their wildlife guarantee, even if they chew a new entry point. No one else covers that. Breda, they handle bugs and critters. BREDA Pest.com.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
To 33777 now.
This hour of the program brought to you by First Liberty Building and Loan. The Frost family has been helping businesses become big businesses since the 90s. They'd love to help your business. If you're looking to grow, you need access to capital, you're buying a building or a franchise, buying out a partner or a business competitor, reach out to them. FirstLibertyGA.com. FirstLibertyGA.com. They help businesses in all 50 states. Tell them I sent you. FirstLibertyGA.com. Y'all, the Democrats are genuinely, I think, out to lunch on the demographics of what's happening, the data of what's happening, but more importantly and more notably to me, they have become so invested in an anti-Trump narrative. I believe they are making a series of mistakes that are going to come back to haunt them, in large part because the American people believe in law and order. And we're back to their unwillingness to even use the phrase illegal alien, doubling down on this. This is a former Univision news anchor, was on CNN last night. Listen to this.
Because they keep saying, talking about illegal aliens. First of all, I don't like to use the word illegal. It is undocumented. Coming into the country without documents, it's not illegal. It's not a crime. It is excuse me. It is a.
There were tourists who got arrested in New York.
It is a misdemeanor. And
it's against the law.
It is
if I steal gum, it's a misdemeanor, but I broke the law.
Now, I realize she's a news anchor and I'm a lawyer. But where I'm from, by the way, I graduated with honors from law school, a misdemeanor is still a crime. And she says it's not a crime. It is a crime, just not one for which you go to jail for more than 365 days or pay more than $1,000 fine. It's a crime. And they don't want to recognize it, and they're alienating themselves. This helps the Republicans.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
the news of the day through the eyes of Eric Von Hessler.
I've listened to many arguments, and there are good arguments to say that we shouldn't. So I'm just saying.
If it's on your mind, it's on his.
This is the only way to do it. Some people are going to lose their job, and then they're going to be put back in the job.
Eric Von Hessler, today at 3.
It's about you. You're being celebrated.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
News, weather,
Traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Good afternoon. I'm Veronica Waters. The news this hour is brought to you by Window Nation. WSB's top local story, the Georgia Supreme Court rules the state election board went way too far, passing several new rules last year.
In a unanimous ruling, the state's high court invalidated the rules that would have required the hand counting of ballots and that election workers certify only after a reasonable inquiry. In the ruling, the justices make it clear that the election board can only enforce current state law. The measures passed before last year's presidential election were already held up by a lower court ruling. Supporters say the rules were about ensuring accuracy, while opponents argued it could have caused chaos during the election. Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
It is 86 degrees now in Midtown Atlanta. More partly cloudy skies with pop-up showers today, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Highs in the mid-80s with a drier mid-60s tonight. Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast is coming up. President Trump warns he could invoke the Insurrection Act in California. In the Oval Office, Trump said the state is, quote-unquote, on fire due to anti-ICE protests.
Last night they had total control. If we didn't have the military in there, the National Guard, and then we also sent in some Marines, we had some bad people.
The act allows the deployment of U.S. troops to quell domestic unrest, and some 700 Marines have been sent to California. Trump told reporters the people causing the problem are insurrectionists. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is testifying before a House committee today. He's faced grilling, especially from Democrats, over the deployment of the National Guard in L.A.
Why are you sending war fighters to cities to interact with civilians?
Every American citizen deserves to live in a community that's safe, and ICE agents need to be able to do their job. They're being attacked for doing their job, which is deporting illegal criminals.
That response to California Congressman Pete Aguilar. At one point, he recalled the 2020 protests in Minneapolis while talking about the issue. A soda recall to tell you about: the FDA taking back some Dr. Pepper products because they're mislabeled in Georgia and 2 other states. The Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar soft drinks in aluminum cans in the 12 and 24 packs could actually be the full sugar product. It has a best by date of February 16th, 2026. Georgia is getting an 11th area code. The Public Service Commission spokesman Tom Krause says the Savannah, Pooler, Brunswick area will likely see 565 popping up on new phones in mid-2028. It's 102. Live team coverage of traffic and weather next.
Your friends at Steel Horse Law are motorcycle injury lawyers who ride. They've mastered safely riding our Georgia roads, and they've mastered the unexpected twists and turns of Georgia law. Hey, it's Eric Von Hessler for Steel Horse Law, the Stein and Karen Law Group. With all the changes in Georgia law, you need the most experienced local motorcycle injury law firm to protect your rights. You can trust them on the road and in the courtroom. Get a free case evaluation at steelhorselaw.com.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
The Scott Antique Markets is back at the Atlanta Expo Center, featuring hundreds of vendors with collectibles and merchandise from all over the world. We're on both sides of I-285 exit 55 on Jonesboro Road. Visit ScottAntiqueMarket.com for more information.
Skeeters biting you? Better call Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters. And Breda is proud to sponsor Scott Slades, Georgia, every Thursday on Atlanta's Morning News.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
It's 1:04, time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Let's check in now with the WSB 24-hour traffic center. Good afternoon, Alex Williams.
Hey, good afternoon, Veronica. And we're still in recovery mode heading up into Marietta. That crash investigation all wrapped up. Everything's back open. 75 northbound at Delk Road exit 261, but still seeing some brake lights trying to make your way up to the South Marietta Parkway, as well as on 285 westbound, the outer loop leaving Sandy Springs, trying to get onto 75 north, 285 northbound, the inner loop also on and off the brake pedal from Hollowell Parkway up to I-75. We've had right lane construction into DeKalb County, I-20 eastbound past Wesley Chapel Road exit 68, so just use caution as you make that commute from the east side perimeter out toward Lithonia. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Partly cloudy with a few pop-up showers and thunderstorms through the afternoon, high 84. Drying out for tonight with lows in the mid-60s. Tomorrow, sunshine with a few clouds, high 87. An isolated pop-up storm on Thursday, but mainly dry, high 88.
Right now, it's 83 degrees in Conyers, 83 in Stone Mountain, and looking at about 84 degrees in Midtown Atlanta at 105. More news at 1:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Veronica Waters, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the fruited plain. The phone number is 877-973-7425. If you would like to be on the program, I'm going to descend down a rabbit hole, and I need you to know up front, out of the gate, we are going in the Wayback Machine. We are headed into history, and I got to set the stage for you. There's actually a very good book many of you have previously read, and that a lot of people don't like to admit they have read today because the author is decidedly not MAGA, even though he's a smart guy, a funny guy, a very good guy, and the book was brilliant. The book is called Liberal Fascism. And the book by Jonah Goldberg is a chronicle of how fascism and its progeny are actually a progressive mission. It's not fascism, contrary to what the left says. History is the winners write history, and left-wing academics got together and claimed that Nazism and fascism after World War II were somehow on the right. It's not actually true. It was the Nazis and the fascists that wanted universal health care and vegetarianism and were anti-religion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They tried to use Christianity and realized they couldn't. They abandoned it. It's a very progressive model. Nazis and communists are kissing cousins. That's the real history. The idea that there's some sort of right-wing ideology is actually nonsense put together by left-wing historians who don't like the fact that their ideology is a descendant of the Nazis. In fact, it's not a coincidence these days that when you see these neo-Nazi types on the right, the alt-right, they're essentially dabbling in progressive ideology. Now, I want to be very careful here because I'm not saying he's a Nazi, a neo-Nazi, a communist, a fascist, or anything like that. I would just note one of the big things the left and progressives advance is a universal minimum wage. And today, Josh Hawley, senator from Missouri, wants the national minimum wage raised to $15 an hour, which a lot of progressive states have done. It is a progressive idea, and yet the media is heralding him as some sort of conservative. When you're advocating a $15 an hour minimum wage, which is a hallmark of progressive ideology, you're not a conservative. He's a nice guy, but he's not a conservative. If that's one of his ideas, he's at best an economic populist. Increasingly, you have this trend on the right where people are embracing progressivism and masking it through social conservatism, saying, I'm a conservative populist or some such. Well, no, you're a progressive. You're a right-wing progressive. You can be progressive and be on the right. It's not something that's just on the left. But progressivism, the descendants of communism, Nazism, fascism, they all do exist on the left. They are ideologies premised on this world and humanity. Conservatism recognizes there is a higher calling. Even among atheistic conservatives, they understand there is a higher and greater calling. Most conservatives tend to be people of faith because they value the ideas of God. And even atheistic conservatives tend to recognize the value of a belief in God for the advancement of civilization. People who believe in God tend to have better well-being, have better mental health, tend to live longer, be more productive members of society, be more honest, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Progressives reject all of that. I told y'all, going down a rabbit hole. Just bear with me here. Bear with me. Take the Nazis. Take the Soviets. Take Pol Pot. Take the Chinese. The logical outcome of progressivism is violence. Typically, mass murder. Now you say, Erickson, this is just a bridge too far for me. Okay, let's back up. Let's roll the tape back. Go all the way back to the 1700s. You have two revolutions that happened around the same time. You had the American Revolution and the French Revolution. The American Revolution is widely regarded by historians, not historians of the right, but historians generally, as a conservative revolution. Why? What was the underlying fundamental argument of the American Constitution? You can read the Declaration of Independence yourself. The argument of the founders of the Republic was that they were entitled to the rights of Englishmen based on the Glorious Revolution and the English Bill of Rights. King George III and his Parliament were no longer guarantors of those pre-existing rights. Therefore, they had the God-given right to throw off the old and take up the new, not for something new, but for something old. To take off and remove the government that no longer guaranteed their pre-existing rights and to put on a new government to guarantee and protect the rights they already had. It was a conservative revolution. The idea of revolution was to throw off the old guard to preserve and protect the old rights. Because the old guard was no longer guaranteeing the old rights, the old guard had to go because the old rights were the rights to be maintained. It's a conservative revolution. The French Revolution, on the other hand, was very progressive. The French Revolution is widely seen as a progressive revolution by historians. The French revolutionaries wanted to throw off what they called the ancient regime, the old regime, and they wanted to bring about something new. Not just something new, they also wanted to bring about new rights and liberties, egalitarianism, liberalism. That's what they wanted. And what happened? Unlike the American Revolution, the French Revolution turned very violent. Yes, there was a war in both. But the actual people in charge of the American Revolution, George Washington, was not out rounding up dissidents and chopping off their heads. Robespierre and the French revolutionaries, they lost their heads. The revolution got out of hand. It became very, very bloody. A lot of people had to flee for their lives. The ancient regime, the monarchy was overthrown, and the new revolutionaries decided to purge intellectuals. And it always happens. Intellectuals and others, if not co-opted, they are purged. We saw this with the Chinese and Mao. We saw it with Pol Pot. We saw it with the Nazis. We saw it to an extent with the fascists in Italy. We really saw it with the communists in the Soviet Union. Progressivism leads to violence. What requires violence in progressivism? Because progressivism ultimately does lead to violence. It is, in the history of the world, progressive revolutions, progressive ideologies tend towards violence. Why? A couple of reasons. One, they're centered in the here and now. There's nothing eternal. There is no judgment from a God up high that they are held to account. They're held to account for bringing utopia to earth today. And those who stand in the way of utopia today must be silenced. If they can't be shut up, they got to be killed. But it's more than that as well. As Jonah Goldberg notes in Liberal Fascism, progressives have no sense of history. There's no building on the democracy of the dead. That's a G.K. Chesterton term. He was a Catholic philosopher. That those who came before us through trial and error, and I'm putting this in my words, not his, through trial and error, organized society the way society is today. You know, you read the Bible. There were a bunch of polygamists back in the day. You had Abraham having Ishmael with the maid, and then he had Isaac with Sarah. You got all these people. They got 3 and 4 wives. You've got David and all of his wives, and then he's got Bathsheba, and God ordered us one man, one woman, and mankind polluted themselves with I'm going to be a polygamist. It ended badly. And over time, through trial and error, we arrive with a one man and one woman raising children is the most stable way to raise society. It was through the trial and error of the generations before us. That is the democracy of the dead. You get a vote because you are alive. Tradition gets a vote because it is dead. The way you raise money, the way you make money, the way you get a job, all these things through trial and error over time. What progressivism does is says we don't need that. We don't need to look backwards. We just need to look forward. We are here and moving forward, so knowledge of the past is irrelevant. How we got to be here is irrelevant because we're forging a new path all the time. And if you stand in the way of that new path towards utopia, towards heaven on earth, you're the bad guy, and ultimately, if you can't be conformed or silenced, you must be killed. That's why progressivism always leads towards violence, because at the end of the day, anyone who digs in their heels and says this far no further is an obstacle to the success of the progressive cause, which is because there is no real heaven, heaven must be brought to earth today. Utopia must be brought to earth. And if you stand in the way of utopia, well, you've got to be eliminated. It is a natural inclination of progressivism. Where progressives in the United States have stood out for so long is that the violence has not been widespread. Because largely our society has been a society that even among Democrats upholds and believes in law and order. But as we further fragment into society, you're seeing the progressives turn violent. There are right-wing progressives. The Democrats, when they point to January 6th, when they point to Charlottesville, they're pointing to people who demanded to make something new, something outside the existing constitutional order, and they say they're violent. But that's progressives today, generally. And progressives mostly exist on the left, and progressives believe our constitutional order is what? What do they say? What did Nicole Hannah-Jones say in the 1619 Project? We are presupposed to be a society premised on white power, a systemic racism in society, and it must be overthrown. And that's where the left gets. We are a deeply flawed society built on the backs of non-white people. It is their time, and we must overthrow the ancient regime here in the United States. And the American news media also has a role to play in this, because the American news media leans to the left. And because the American news media leans to the left, they amplify the voices of the left and they echo their talking points. It is the National Guard making the situation violent, not the rioters. It is unnecessary for them to be there. Pay no attention to local law enforcement being unable to help. They are undocumented citizens. That's the phrase used by Democratic strategists on CNN the other day. Undocumented citizen. At first, I thought he misspoke, but he doubled down on it. They want to revise our history because history doesn't matter, only the future matters. And if you stand in the way, you're an obstacle, and all the obstacles, they must be eliminated. This is where we are with the progressives, and they're emboldened now by the echo chamber of the American media, which means they're going to turn towards violence. Now listen, pay attention to me here. This is important. Your response should not be violence to them. Let the American people see them. Let the American people experience their violence. And your alternative, law and order, becomes even more compelling than it already is. What the left in this country is doing is they believe they have a majority mandate for radical change, and they don't. Their echo chamber on MSNBC, CNN, and the news media has insisted to them that now is the time for a reckoning and change, and they're out to lunch. They don't realize the American people, they're fed up with it. The more they get emboldened in this, the more the retribution of the middle class in this country will be towards the left, a complete rejection of them, and we'll all be better off when that happens. And by the way, it's going to happen if they keep it up.
Those who love him, listen to find out what he's going to say next. Those who disagree with him, also listen to see what he's going to say next. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
121 Coolray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Some rain moving through the Midtown, Northwest Atlanta, Buckhead area, so just be mindful of that. If you're running into those showers, use caution on the wet pavement. New stall out in Lithonia. It's in the center lane, I-20 westbound before Panola Road, exit 71. That's why you're seeing the brake lights from Evans Mill Road. And 285 still in recovery mode in both directions into Cobb County, trying to get onto 75 north heading into Marietta due to that earlier crash investigation. 75 northbound at Delk Road, that has since cleared. 285 northbound, the inner loop slows back at South Atlanta Road, and westbound delays start around Roswell Road. Traffic brought to you by Peach Pass and the new Peach Pass Go mobile app. The Peach Pass Go mobile app helps you get there faster with new and improved features, and more coming soon. Download the new Peach Pass Go mobile app today at peachpass.com. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
A Wednesday starting at 5 on Atlanta's Morning News, the latest from L.A., our 5-day forecast, and Clark Howard on how to keep your kids in the loop about your finances on WSB.
If your home was built more than 20 years ago, you probably have drafty, outdated single-pane windows.
It's Ted and Jonathan from North Georgia Replacement Windows. If your windows are single-pane, rotting, old, or you simply want that updated look, upgrade to beautiful Infinity from Marvin Fiberglass Windows now.
Experience the difference at your home or in our new Alpharetta showroom.
0% interest available.
Infinity from Marvin Replacement Windows, yeah!
Listen up, because women have long waited for the world to recognize the importance of our health.
Northside Hospital goes beyond "we hear you" to "we're out here with you," because women deserve more than open ears.
They deserve open doors, and 1 ounce of action is worth 1,000 words.
Northside is rolling up our sleeves and getting to work for you.
This is a house call. Heard. Learn more at northside.com/heard.
Properties come in all shapes and sizes, and so do foundation repairs. Mark Beckham here. It could be new construction, a big house, a small house, or your commercial property. Anyway, you need the leaders in foundation repair to handle it. Get your free estimate at atlantaramjack.com.
There's a new optimism in the air, and we think investors like you might have the best year ever. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. Last year, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Everyday folks from all walks of life have enjoyed 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of small businesses right here at home. If you're a qualified investor and have a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest rates. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. We believe this is going to be a special year and a great year. We've got the projects. Now we need partners like you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. Purchasers must verify their SEC accredited investor status. Securities are not being offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
At Kroger, we've lowered prices on over 1,000 items across our stores so you can save even more. Whether you're shopping in-store or online at Kroger, we've lowered prices on thousands of the items your family wants and needs. And with lower prices, your dollar goes further every time you shop with us. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Kroger brand 80% lean ground beef is on sale. 3-pound packages are only $4.99 a pound with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Don't ignore cracking bricks and concrete or boat walls. You could be ignoring foundation problems. AquaGuard Foundation Solutions knows these signs could lead to a reduction in your home's value. Visit aquaguard.net today to book your free inspection. Remember,
AquaGuard.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB. All the information without the spin. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Hello there, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, just a housekeeping note, please. If you remember, text the word Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. You can get the show notes that come to you when the show starts, all the stuff I'm going to talk about, the stack stuff. You get the live stream, you get the podcast, you get the social media links. I'll add in there the information on the on the new podcast, the 4 Things You Need to Know This Afternoon. We've been pushing that out now for the last couple of weeks. If you're on the phones, be patient with me. I've got about a minute and a half here. I want to do justice to your phone calls, so I will get your phone calls on the other side of the commercial break. And we've still got more, but before I get anything else, I got to tell you, I don't know if y'all have seen the president was asked about Greta Thunberg. And he had, well, let me see if I can pull this clip of, this is the president of the United States, Donald Trump, being asked at a press conference about little Greta Thunberg, who's been put on a plane. By the way, the Israelis did put her on a plane. They did take a picture, as I asked them on social media to do. They put her in the seat that does not recline, that is back up against the wall of the bathroom. Here's the president.
Do you have a message for Greta Thunberg, and did she come up on your call with the prime minister today?
Well, she's a strange person. She's a young, angry person. I don't know if it's real anger. It's hard to believe, actually, but I saw what happened. She's certainly different. Anger management. I think she has to go to an anger management class.
Greta Thunberg is certainly different, a strange person. I think she needs to go to an anger management class. Well, she can be fuming by the fumes of the toilet on the plane as she flies home. Couldn't have happened to a nicer person. I got to tell you, what an insufferably smug brat. All right, I got to move on. First, I need to tell you about Old Glory Bank, my bank. I would love for you to use them as your bank. It is rare, I think, for someone to be as effusive with praise of a bank as I am with Old Glory Bank, but I have been a customer of theirs for 2 years, and I just can't tell you how awesome they are. They regularly figure out innovative ways to be able to bank with them, even though they don't have a local branch near me. I can deposit cash at one of 88,000 retail locations around the country. My app generates a QR code. I give it to the cashier. I deposit the cash. It gets credited to my account. They've got great budgeting tools, bill pay tools, and they are a bank by conservatives for conservatives. They believe that your freedom should come ahead of the values of shareholders. They don't want to debank you. They want to help your business thrive. You get a business account, an individual account. You get a custodial account for your kid with no fees. And it just works. It all works. They're a fantastic bank. OldGloryBank.com is the website. You can fill out the form online at OldGloryBank.com. It takes like 5-6 minutes. OldGloryBank.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply. They really are my bank, and they can be your bank too.
So your septic system needs repairs. That stinks. First, they want to charge you to pump out the tank and charge you again for the repair. That's just wrong. Hi, I'm Shannon, owner of Scorpion Septic, and we don't do that. With us, there's never a pump out charge with your repair. You'll save hundreds.
Take the sting out of septic service with Scorpion Septic, where there is never a pump out charge with your repair. Call for more information.
ScorpionSepticServices.com. Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It's 1:30. I'm Veronica Waters. The news is brought to you by Ben Hill Renovation. WSB's top local story: the Georgia Supreme Court justices unanimously annul 4 rules pushed through last year by Trump allies on the state election board. Those include mandatory hand counts, measures which could cause local officials to refuse to certify elections, and the photo ID requirement for people delivering absentee ballots. 2 rules were sent back to the lower court for review on a technical point. Quarantine is lifted at the Douglas County Animal Shelter. 2 weeks ago, the shelter had 2 viruses making dogs sick, so they treated them and isolated others. A widespread power outage impacts hundreds of Avondale Estates residents as well as its city hall. The outages come after trees fell on Covington Highway. Repairs are expected to be complete this evening. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth gets bipartisan criticism today in the House over his decisions to deploy troops to Los Angeles. Lawmakers also expressed frustration over the Trump administration's failure to deliver a full defense budget. Competing with hundreds of libraries, the Gwinnett County Library System has now been awarded a Carnegie Grant.
11 libraries across the country will share a $5 million grant, and Gwinnett County will spend its share on the expansion of its English language classes. The library's Duffy Dixon says they are doubly grateful in this current climate of ours.
You know, at a time when funding is being decreased in a lot of areas, to get this kind of a grant means everything to us.
Dixon says the money will be used to help find volunteers and fund background checks, as well as offer bus passes to get to classes for those with limited transportation. Lisa Nicholas, 95.5 WSB.
It's 1:32. Live team coverage of traffic and weather next.
It's Eric, and one of the questions I get asked all the time is, Erickson, where do I get a computer? I don't want to worry about the setup and all the tech support stuff. Y'all, you go to Vision Computers. Call them at 404-COMPUTE. Listen, when you call Vision, you're not getting stuck in a maze of hold music or menus. They answer the phone 15 seconds on average. That's right, 15 seconds. Real people, real help, real fast, right when you need it. And here's the part I love. You got an older computer, you got programs you rely on. Maybe QuickBooks or a niche software for your small business. You're afraid a new computer means losing it all or spending days doing transfers. Vision Computers got you covered. As long as your software is supported in Windows 11, they can move all your programs from your old computer to the new one efficiently, safely, and fast. It's like handing off all the hassle to someone who's an expert and knows what they're doing. So if you're thinking your old computer is fine but slowing down, maybe time for a new one. Call 404-COMPUTE today. That's 404-COMPUTE. Let Vision Computers take care of everything. You're never going to want to buy a computer another way.
If you've been taught that all bread is unhealthy, I'm here to tell you not if it's real bread. Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. If you're struggling with weight gain, high cholesterol, constipation, even warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, come visit us at the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, where we have taught thousands of customers that real bread might be their healthy solution. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of real whole grains and bread. I discovered that store-bought bread has had most of the nutrients in the grain removed during milling, and yes, even packages labeled 100% whole wheat. Make a healthy eating change in your life at Bread Beckers in Woodstock. We'll show you how bread, but only real bread, might be the answer to your family's physical ills. The Bread Beckers. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
Dave Baker here for Ben Hill Renovations. I know what's important to you when you're looking for a new deck. You want the work done with quality workmanship, on time, within your budget, and built correctly. Getting a new deck from Ben Hill Renovations checks all the boxes. And when it comes to new decks, pretty much anything you can imagine, Ben Hill can do. And they're all backed by the Ben Hill Workmanship Warranty. Swing by the new Ben Hill Renovations showroom in Douglasville and talk to one of their designers. Or see them on the web at bhrenovations.com. Ben Hill Renovations, creating raving fans since 1964.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather this half hour begins with Alex Williams.
Better news for those traveling out of Conyers toward Lithonia. Stall cleared out of a center lane, 20 westbound before Panola Road, exit 71. New stall, though, reported in Sandy Springs, 285 westbound, the outer loop, Riverside Drive, exit 24. That as well as in a center lane. And downtown, seeing the brake lights, 75-85 northbound from University Avenue. Up into Midtown, where we had some rain showers come through. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Partly cloudy with a few hit-or-miss rain showers moving through. High 84.
Right now it's 82 degrees in Dunwoody, 80 in Douglasville, 76 in Midtown Atlanta, where a passing shower has cooled it down a bit. More news at 2 o'clock on 95.5 WSB.
Welcome back. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. If you would like to be on the program, I will allow it so long as you are edifying and add to the conversation. And so we'll get a trial run here first with David, calling from Jacksonville, Florida. David, welcome to the show. Don't screw up.
I'll try not to. Just want to let you. I just want to let you know I really do enjoy the show.
Thank you.
And one thing that I noticed back in 2020, I think, during the Summer of Love, is that when those riots were? 2020.
Yes,
yeah.
The love riots.
And
yes.
one thing I've seen today, and really because of all the video they're showing, you see these guys in black uniforms. I mean, black head to foot, and they seem to be kind of in the background a little bit. And you also see the same guys carrying around backpacks with rocks in them that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, I've noticed that they've had pre-positioned things on the back of pickup trucks and pallets of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were pushing these, we call them trash, the big containers you put the trash in. They were pushing them across the street last night. And bottom line, let me get to the point. All this stuff is organized because you don't have stuff pre-positioned and people, and I think they're using some hand signals too, what I was told. That takes training, and all the pre-positioned assets takes money. Somebody, and it's been said, but somebody is really paying for the core agitators, as they call them, to push off this stuff. My question is, I'm surprised that several of these guys just don't go out and just snatch them. I mean, they can arrest them and really start doing some serious, legal interrogation and just go up the chain. Because I think you may find out that George Soros organization through, offshore and dummy companies and everything else is doing a lot of this financing. But bottom
David,
line,
I happen to know the answer for you.
Yeah, and one quick question: Could they be prosecuted through RICO? Now I looked up RICO, and it's kind of.
They actually could though, and this is why RICO exists. But David, I'm serious here. I know the answer to your question why they're not snatching these guys off the streets. They're doing to them what was done to the January 6 guys. They are looking for the cell phone data. Many of these people aren't carrying cell phones now. And so what they're actually interested in doing is looking for people where their cell phones, they turn their cell phones off. So they follow them camera to camera and the surveillance footage that you've got in Los Angeles. And they see where they go to turn their cell phones back on, and they start checking signal frequencies of who they're reaching out to. And they're building a map of these connections. Now, they did this, you should know, in 2020 as well. And it's how they know that there were some left-wing groups that were tied to it. But then Joe Biden came into office, and the U.S. attorneys chose not to prosecute. The Trump administration, Pam Bondi, is going to prosecute. For example, they found the guy who was seen throwing the concrete bricks at the law enforcement agents as they were going past. They've been able to find him, and they're tracking other people down. And so what they've noticed is that a lot of these people are headed into the area, and they turn their cell phones off. So what the DOJ is looking for and it actually makes it easy, and they think they're being smart, is they can tell when a cell phone is pinging towers and then suddenly go silent. And what they're looking for are the cell phones that are pinging towers and go silent, and then later on reactivate somewhere near the area and are headed in the opposite direction. And they know those are the people that they want to look for. And so they're following those people. They're following their cell phones. They're building them out, because you're absolutely right. And by the way, it's been caught on video of pickup trucks. And again, if you follow my Twitter feed, you'll see it in there. Video of a pickup truck dropping off concrete blocks, bricks, bats, other things. They found bats in baseball bats, steel or aluminum rather, baseball bats in bushes. All of this stuff is being tracked. And yeah, I do think there's a great RICO case. In fact, a friend of mine who's a federal judge has just texted me and says, sounds like it's a very good RICO case. Had Donald Trump won re-election in 2020, I suspect you would have seen the RICO cases come out from the Portland riots in particular in 2020. I suspect you would see that. I suspect you would follow that trail. But I've talked to multiple law enforcement officials. And in fact, overnight I was talking to a buddy of mine who specializes in this and says the guys aren't actually being that smart because they're taking their cell phones to near where they're supposed to be, and then they turn them off. They should have left their cell phone at home the whole time. Here's the catch. In Los Angeles, particularly if you use public transportation, you use Waymo, which are the robot taxi stuff, you've got to have your phone. If you want to summon the taxi, you got to have your phone. A lot of these people on the Metro passes now in Los Angeles are digital. If you've got an iPhone, you keep your bus pass on your phone. So they can't leave their phone at home. What they're doing is they're headed towards near Paramount City, California, where the riots are happening, and then they turn their phone off because they know if they're there with their cell phone signal, they're going to be tracked. So all the FBI is doing now is they're looking, when does a cell phone signal go dead, headed in that direction, and when does it come active, and is it headed in the opposite direction? And if so, the odds are really good that that person was participating in the riots and knew enough to turn their phone off. So it's a smart, engaged activist, and they're following the web. And they're building a picture of who these people are. And hell is coming for them, hopefully. But it's really interesting to me that they did think about that. And you know, I, honest to God, I did not think, okay, I'm going to turn my cell phone off and now I'm in the area. And so I was talking to a guy in law enforcement last night. And he says, no, actually, that makes it a lot easier for us to figure it out, because who turns their cell phone off before they go into an area? The only people who do are the ones who clearly are up to no good. And so you find when they've gotten to a point, their cell phone goes dead. It's no longer pinging the towers, and then it's pinging the towers later, headed in the opposite direction. You know that's someone who knew well enough to know they didn't want to be caught. And those are the people they're looking for. It's kind of ingenious, really. Now, I got to move to something else from here, and a great call on that. I'm glad you brought that up because I would have forgotten about those conversations. But yeah, they are looking at that stuff. One of my disappointments with all of the riot news is there's actually another story that I think is a more important story out there. It's not the salacious, juicy story everybody's talking about, but I think it's long-term a bigger deal. As I was going off the air yesterday, the president was about to go live at a roundtable discussion with CEOs of some major companies, Robinhood, the investment app, Goldman Sachs, Dell, Computer, Michael Dell was there, several others, about what he's calling the Trump accounts. Conservatives, going back to before George W. Bush was president, have wanted to find a way to incentivize people having kids and provide a way to break up the fascination, fixation, and engagement with Social Security. And for a very long time, conservative economists have touted a plan where if you were to invest $1,000 in just an index fund of the market, maybe a dividend fund, and reinvest all the dividends over time, you would grow money for your child. So start with $1,000. Let it sit there for 65 years, reinvesting dividends, and you're adding to it over time. And you've got a lot of money by the time you retire. Now, If you just let $1,000, let's track the Dow Jones Industrial Average over 65 years, which to some degree you can do. According to the Motley Fools guys, your money, if you never touched it, you never added to it, your $1,000 would be about $20,000, $19,000 to $20,000 on about 5% rate of return over 60 years. However, if you add to it over time, you're talking millions of dollars over time. You keep investing a little at a time, and you're talking millions of dollars. Right now, Social Security is an IOU system. And it's not only an IOU system, it's a system that makes no sense anymore. Why should we be paying Warren Buffett Social Security? We are. And I guess technically it's his. It came out of his check, and there's been this IOU paid to Warren Buffett. But Warren Buffett doesn't need the money back, and the system is going broke. The system is overwhelming the rest of us. And so conservatives for a long time have said if we redo it and we think of this like a 401k that you start at birth, suddenly we're talking good money here for you and not a lot of money for the federal government. Donald Trump says it take like $3.6 billion, which with the cuts and the changes and programs he's making actually doesn't cost the federal government any more money. It's not going to contribute to the national debt because of the adjustments they're making. And then what Trump is proposing, the reason for the CEOs yesterday, was that if major companies would do it themselves for their employees' kids, the federal government could do it for the people who don't work for companies that do it. The companies that do it can get a major tax break for doing it. So the companies have a financial incentive to give the $1,000 to each employee's newborn child. It saves the federal government money, and the federal government can offset the savings by doing it for those who don't work for companies doing it. So essentially, you let's say you work for, I'm just going to throw one of the ones that were out there, Dell Computer. Michael Dell was there. You work for Dell Computer. You have a child. Dell Computer sets up $1,000. They're calling it a Trump account. $1,000 Trump account. It's an interest-bearing account. That's matched to an index fund. It grows over time. By the time the kid is 18, according to Trump, you'd be able to use the money to pay for college or use the money to invest in a business or other investment. Or you could just leave it there and you could keep funding it tax-free until retirement, 65, and build up a trust fund. Build up a massive pile of money for yourself. You know, one of the big differences between a poor person and a rich person in America today is that most likely the rich person, their parents had equity in a home or put money aside that their child inherited. And the poor person's family did not. I know, for example, my buddy Clark Howard, Dave Ramsey, and others, they're not big on a whole life insurance. When my kids were both born, I got them each a very small whole life policy, like $25,000 whole life policy tied to them. And the combined premiums for both of them, it's maybe $110 between both kids. And when they hit 30 years old, they're going to have about $50,000 each. And if they just keep it going, Lord knows how much it's going to be by the time they retire. But it's going to be tax-free because it's a whole life policy. And they'll have that money to be able to put a down payment on a house or get out of pay off college loans or buy a car or whatever they need. And it's going to give them a leg up. And a lot of people aren't in that position. I'm fortunate to be in that position. If you start every kid out with $1,000 and then money they make over time is reinvested in it and it grows interest, it's tied to a stock market fund, every kid in this country is going to be able to have a leg up that the ones born today don't have. It's a very good idea from the president. It's an idea conservatives have long advocated for, and it's one that Democrats have seen the value of as well. A tax-free account that starts when you're born. It gives you a social safety net of your own design over time. I think it's a wonderful idea, and I certainly hope that the Fortune 500 will embrace it and fund it to offload costs from the government, give them a tax benefit, let the government do it for everyone else. I think it's a great idea. I think that the president is not, he's not ahead of his time in this because it's an old idea, but he sees where Social Security is headed. He doesn't want to shake up Social Security, but you start implementing this plan now, it provides the wiggle room for the government to fix Social Security later. I think it's a great idea. God bless the president for coming up with the idea. I hope the Fortune 500 does it. It's gotten completely overshadowed by the riots, but it happened yesterday afternoon, and this is a game-changing idea for the future of every American if they can pursue it. Now, let me tell you about Americans for Prosperity, because this is actually a common-sense conservative reform even AFP has been supporting over time. It's a way to fix our retirement system in the country and the entitlement system in the country, and right now they really want to fix the tax plan, and this would be in the tax plan. If you go to protectprosperity.com today, you can sign up with Americans for Prosperity and engage with your member of Congress and your senator, and I know what some of you are saying. Say, I'm a Republican, I'm in the state of Virginia. Both of my senators are Democrat. They don't care what I say. You'd actually be wrong. Talk to constituent services in any office in Congress. They monitor who's calling and what they're calling about and whether they're for or against the law. And if you overwhelm the offices of your senators, even if they're Democrats, with phone calls saying, please support this common sense conservative solution, it's going to be persuasive to them. It actually is going to be persuasive to them. They may ultimately not, but behind the scenes, they may not object to certain things and slow the train down. But you got to have your voice heard. And if you want your voice heard, you need to go to protectprosperity.com. Americans for Prosperity is making it very easy for you to reach out to your senator over the president's tax plan. Just go to protectprosperity.com today and let your voice be heard.
When the truth seems hazy, Eric will clear the way. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
150 Cool-Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Just talked to some traffic troopers, and I see the delays. It's on Camp Creek Parkway right around 285, and that's got 285 southbound, a little slow leaving Langford Parkway due to that congestion on Camp Creek. We're going to further investigate that. Picking up a new slow zone heading toward Norcross, 85 northbound Jimmy Carter Boulevard, exit 99. We're looking into a crash there, and trouble cleared 285 westbound in Sandy Springs, the outer loop at Riverside Drive. Traffic brought to you by Active Pest Control. Enjoy a pest-free home with Active Pest Control's pest-free 365 service. To save $50 off your initial pest service, visit ActivePestControl.com today. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
When the news matters to you.
The massive project at 285 and Georgia 400 has been a big improvement.
95.5 WSB has you covered.
The latest incident comes when a SWAT team is called after a suspect.
Your 24/7 news
They
source.
have no ties to a gang.
When you need the story, all you need to do is listen. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's breaking news station.
Hey, it's Shelley Winter here. Have you been recently diagnosed with sleep apnea and then they prescribed a CPAP machine? Come on, you know it's not comfortable. Rolling around in a bed with something on your face, having to hold your breath for 30 to 40 seconds, can't roll over and kiss your loved one in the middle of the night? Yeah, I know, it's bad news. But there is an alternative. Oral appliance therapy, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to let you in on this better option, PalmettoSleep.com. It's a better option. They offer a custom-fit oral appliance that stops your snoring and treats sleep apnea, and it's covered by your private medical insurance. PalmettoSleep.com has made the process super simple with virtual appointments and take-home sleep tests if needed. They handle everything. If you've already been diagnosed, now's the time for a treatment that is right for you. Visit PalmettoSleep.com. That's PalmettoSleep.com. Go there now. That's PalmettoSleep.com and get rid of that CPAP machine.
The foods we eat can be downright bad for our health. This is Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've been teaching the truth about real bread. Not the stuff you buy at the store. I'm talking real bread made with freshly milled flour. When you buy bread from the store, take a look at the ingredients. Enriched flour means that the nutritious bran and germ has been removed to improve the shelf life. Then a few B vitamins and iron are added back to replace the multitude of nutrients lost. That's not enrichment in my book. And today, that label may even read contains bioengineered food ingredients. Food should never be bioengineered. At Bread Beckers in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real bread loaded with fiber and nutrients. A delicious, healthy, affordable solution that can improve your health and change your life. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Protect your turf from termites. Call Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters. And Breda's proud to sponsor Scott Slade's Georgia every Thursday on Atlanta's Morning News.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Two of rock's most iconic bands, Kansas and 38 Special. Together in one night, rocking Fox Theater, Saturday, June 21st, 7 p.m. With special guest, The Outlaws. On sale now at foxtheater.org. Don't miss Kansas and 38 Special live.
If you've ever organized your closet only to have it look like a bomb went off in there 1 month later, then it's time to call Artisan Custom Closets. Dave Baker here with a custom spacious closet from Artisan. You'll never have to deal with all that clutter again. ArtisanCustomClosets.com.
Your non-stop news source. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
You what you need to hear. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Hello, my friends. It is Eric Erickson here. I certainly hope you are having a fantastic day. The U.S. Open is headed to whatchamadiggity this week. I'm going to be watching over in Louisiana. Go over to see my parents, but my gosh, I'm invested in seeing if Scotty Scheffler can pull this off this year. Solar company Sunnova has filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now let's go back to the Obama administration. Obama, it was a scandal. He gave Solyndra $535 million, and it went bust. The Biden administration intended to give Sunnova $3 billion. $3 billion intended to give this organization, Project Hestia, which would be some sort of nationwide virtual power plants. That's what they were calling it. It has gone out of business. The Green New Deal continues to be a scandal, and it's one of my great frustrations that the Republicans in Congress are not just killing every part of the Green New Deal. You got Tom Tillis in North Carolina and others saying, oh, but there are things that make money. There are things that make money in it. No, get rid of all of it. We can't afford it. You get rid of all of it, and we're able to afford more tax cuts, and the tax cuts will stimulate the economy. It's just absurd to me that we are in a situation now where we've got Republicans who are trying to, and that's the way it always does. Obamacare, the Green New Deal, you name it, Democrats come up with some big government scheme, and a handful of Republicans decide to preserve it. But in this particular case, they are preserving tax schemes, donations, and other things, and grants of money that could be used to grow the tax cuts. It's just frustrating. Super, super frustrating. Now, y'all listen, what's real frustrating is you've been dawdling, twiddling your thumbs. You hadn't figured out Father's Day for your dad, and I've made it super easy for you. All you got to do is go to omahasteaks.com. At checkout, you'll see a promo code box. You put in Eric, E-R-I-C-K. Don't forget the C and the K, best of both worlds. You get $35 off. Now, it's already, they got a sale going on site-wide at Omaha Steaks. And then you get an extra $35 off, minimum order required. You get your dad's steak, you get him seafood, you get him chicken, you get him pork, you get him desserts. In fact, I'm going to go over to omahasteaks.com right now, and you guys don't appreciate this. They have a size and dessert tab. They have incredible desserts. Surely your dad's got a sweet tooth. Caramel apple tartlets. My wife loves the berry tarts. The gourmet cheesecake symbol, the key lime tarts, the chocolate molten lava cake, the creme brulee is fantastic, the chocolate soufflés. They've got all this stuff for your dad. You'd love your dad, don't you? Go to omahasteaks.com today. Load up your cart for your dad. At checkout, put in Eric, E-R-I-C-K. You'll get an extra $35 off. Send him something great from Omaha Steaks.
Looking for the perfect engagement ring? At Shane Company, we know this is an exciting time. It can also be overwhelming. Customers say this a lot. Where do I start? How do I choose? At Shane Company, this is where the magic happens. Since 1929, we've been experts at helping customers find the perfect engagement ring. We invite you into the design process, help you pick out the perfect diamond or colorful gemstone, and choose a style that speaks to you. Come see us in store and at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Hey homeowners, it's Eric Erickson here. Do your windows and doors stick? Are you noticing cracks in the drywall or the brickwork? You might have a big problem. Serious issues need the serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Their skills are unmatched, as are their foundation solutions. When these guys repair a problem, it's the last time you'll have to worry about it. Done once, done right. Start today with a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now.
All the notifications you need.
This story developing in Marietta.
All the local and breaking news alerts you need.
We're following breaking news in Atlanta.
All in one place.
The 95.5 WSB app.
Download it today.
News, weather,
Traffic.
95.5 WSB. Atlanta's News and Talk.
It's 2 o'clock. I'm Veronica Waters. News is brought to you by Bread Beckers. WSB's top local story. A Snellville father accused of leaving his 2 kids in a hot car faces felony charges in Cobb County. Here's a report, all new at 2 o'clock.
After receiving a tip from a witness, Cobb police find 2 children ages 1 and 2 years old inside a car parked at the Cumberland Mall. According to a warrant, they were left alone for more than 40 minutes with no air conditioning in 80-degree weather. The officers recorded the temperature inside the car where each child was sitting at 104 and 106 degrees. Jaquan Dixon is charged with 2 counts of second-degree cruelty to children. The kids were evaluated at a hospital. Dixon's out on $10,000 bond. Amanda Moyer, 95.5 WSB.
It is 79 degrees now in Midtown Atlanta. WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards says you can expect partly cloudy skies and a few showers and storms today. We're going to dry out this evening, though, after high temperatures in the mid-80s today. Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast is coming up. The Georgia Supreme Court strikes down 4 of 7 election rules passed ahead of the November 2024 election. They say the state election board overstepped its authority. The invalidated rules include measures on hand-counting ballots and certifying results. 2 other rules were sent back to a lower court for further review. Just one was upheld, requiring video surveillance of drop boxes after polls close. A man is stabbed to death outside a DeKalb County gas station. Now, police are looking for the suspect. The victim was found outside the station on La Vista Road just after midnight and died at that scene. Investigators are still trying to ID him and are processing clues as they try to find out who's responsible. Georgia is getting a new area code.
We're getting an 11th area code in the state. The 912 area code down in the southeast part of the state is getting a few too many numbers, and mathematically, they're just running out of possibilities, and they have alerted us that we're going to have a 565 area code.
Public Service Commission spokesman Tom Kraus says the Savannah, Pooler, Brunswick area will likely see 565 on new phones starting in mid-2028. The Douglas County Animal Shelter reopens its doors today after 2 weeks under quarantine.
The Georgia Department of Agriculture gives the shelter the okay to open back up to the public after 13 dogs were diagnosed with pneumovirus and 3 dogs tested positive for parvovirus last month.
The pneumovirus is actually a new strain. There is not a vaccine for it at this point. It's very treatable. We use a round of doxycycline.
Douglas County Animal Services Director Vanessa Francikowski previously told WSB pneumovirus is extremely contagious and lasts longer than other viruses. Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
It's 2:02. Live team coverage of traffic and weather straight ahead.
That's you, looking at your garage door. And you're wondering, if it gets windy, just how much can this door take? 20 miles an hour? 30 miles an hour? Sure, if we get a little wind, your buddy says if you back the car up against it just right, you can probably save it. But what's your clever plan the next time we get a storm with a name? At Mo Better Garage, we make that way mo better. Storm-rated doors are built to withstand heavy winds, even if your building codes aren't there yet. It's like the door to the safe that protects your whole house. Stronger materials, heavy-duty motors and springs to handle the weight, and reinforced struts to keep it from bowing out in the wind. How do I know it won't bow? Because I'm Mo. Call Mo Better Garage and we'll make sure you're prepared the next time a storm with a name comes sailing across the Gulf of Mo.
Mo Better Garage, we make it way more better.
MoBetterGarage.com.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Stylin'. Or possibility number 24, the latest software upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
And 6/22/25. New customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
It's 2:04. Live team coverage of traffic and weather begins right now. Alex Williams is checking your commute in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Just had a big downpour on I-85 through the Norcross area, and we also have a crash in that area. 85 northbound Jimmy Carter Boulevard, exit 99. At least the HOT lane is blocked. Tough to tell on the jam cam, but definitely that lane blocked, and you're stacked up as you leave 285 there in the Doraville area. Also just found trouble in Ackworth, 75 southbound past Highway 92, exit 277 was a left lane crash now on the left shoulder. And we also just had some pothole repair clear up 285 southbound the outer loop South Cobb Drive, exit 15. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Partly cloudy with a few pop-up showers and thunderstorms through the afternoon, high 84. Drying out for tonight with lows in the mid-60s. Tomorrow, sunshine with a few clouds, high 87. An isolated pop-up storm on Thursday, but mainly dry, high 88.
Showers and 84 degrees right now in Lilburn. There's a thunderstormy 74 degrees there, 80 degrees in Midtown Atlanta. More news at 2:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Veronica Waters, 95.5 WSB.
2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
It's Eric Erickson here. Glad to have you with me today. The phone number 877-973-7425. I struggle with this topic because sometimes I feel like it's redundant, but it's also every once in a while I stumble across a really important must-read piece. And I gotta just highlight the larger picture here, and it's on media bias, which I realize is a redundant. We could go on ad nauseum about it, but this is incredible. My friend Seth Mandel has this piece in Commentary, "The Unfathomable Media Fraud." He writes, "Please read the following headline and subhead in the New York Times today. The tunnel that leads underneath the hospital in southern Gaza. To Israelis, the location of an underground passageway highlights Hamas's abuse of civilians. To Palestinians, Israel's decision to target it highlights Israel's own disregard for civilian life." Just so we're clear what happened. The leader of Hamas was using a bunker directly underneath the emergency department of a hospital. Israel took out that leader with a strike that avoided the hospital itself after giving advanced warnings of its intentions. Then Israel cleared the area around it and retrieved the body. According to the Times, the preceding scenario is open to interpretation. But to really understand what's happening here, one has to rewind slightly to the moment of the strike and its aftermath. Last month, Israel struck the tunnel under the European hospital in an attempt to eliminate Mohammed Sinwar, the leader of Hamas and the successor to his brother Yahya Sinwar, mastermind of the October 7th attack. News agencies insisted Israel was lying about the presence of Hamas leadership or an underground bunker, relying on fake experts whose expertise I have debunked myself. Yeah, it turns out if you follow the link, Seth has pointed out many of the experts that were used by the media to undermine Israel's claims were actually from Hamas or Hamas adjacent, like on the payroll. It turned out, as usual, Israel was telling the truth. Then journalists complained that Israel was keeping journalists out of the war zone, a kind of veiled justification for why they keep making up stories. Israel responded by giving journalists a tour of the underground bunker itself. Journalists responded by saying essentially, well, nonetheless. So here's a question worth repeating. Will these news agencies still continue to platform the fake experts who keep making fools of them? Will they still use the same reporters and anchors that keep getting these stories wrong while behaving unprofessionally on the air? Let's put a pin in that one and talk briefly about a man named Mahmoud Bazal. He's a spokesman for a Palestinian agency called Civil Defense, a security and emergency service that claims some independence from the Palestinian government under which it works. The ruse is less important in territories governed by the Palestinian Authority, which is a legitimate body, than it is in Gaza, given Hamas. No one can operate such an agency in Gaza unless it is controlled by Hamas. Bazal is a key player in this scam because news reports can quote him without saying the word Hamas. Well, they could, past tense. The IDF yesterday revealed it had recovered Hamas documents of Bazal's role within the organization. Bazal, the documents showed, was not Hamas adjacent, but actually Hamas. The man has appeared in stories in The Guardian, France 24, AFP, and Reuters regularly. Now let's go to the other story that Seth mentioned. This is a piece from May 19th. There was a Sky News anchor hectoring Israeli ambassador Danny Danon about Israel's strike on a tunnel system beneath the Gaza hospital to eliminate Mohammed Sinwar. She said, insisted Israel was wrong to say there were tunnels beneath the hospital because their experts, she said so. Turns out Hamas confirmed that the target area was the site of a tunnel. Hamas said it was destroyed by the IDF and rebuilt. Then yesterday, along with reports of another Sinwar's elimination, Mohammed's brother Zakaria, came reports that Mohammed Sinwar's body was found in the tunnel. Who are Sky News' experts? One of them is Corey Shear, who was a key expert behind the 2023 Associated Press story that claimed, quote, the Israeli military campaign in Gaza, experts say, now sits among the deadliest and most destructive in history. Shear's research depended on radar readings that were mostly mysterious to Shear. Sky News, the Associated Press, ABC News, where else will the experts show up? Wherever they're needed. Y'all, we got a problem here. A free nation needs a free press. I think every single one of you will acknowledge that a free people should have a free press. Where there is not a free press, government corruption metastasizes. But we don't have a free press in the United States. We just witnessed 4 years of the American press corps covering up the conspiracy of the age. Joe Biden's mental decline, bigger than Watergate. The media abhors the idea that it's bigger than Watergate, but the media was complicit in a cover-up of the decline of a president of the United States. And I have now read Original Sin, Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson's book. It's actually a very good book. It is very eye-opening, but also it does not account for the members of the media collaborating, and if anything, is going to be used by members of the press to say, look what we uncovered when they themselves were complicit in the cover-up. Members of the press. You had the reporters pre-submit their questions to Joe Biden. We know it happened. We've got the picture of the note card. You had reporters covering up using phrases like cheap fake. And we know from Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson's book that even Joe Biden's team was stunned at the willingness of the media to help them advance their talking points. We have a situation time and time again where liars are being elevated. Let me get back to Seth Mandel's piece because it's relevant to the right. It's not just the left. In the May issue of Commentary, I wrote about the anti-Semitism circulating throughout the right-wing manosphere, a collection of popular social media influencers and YouTube personalities. Among them was Daryl Cooper, a podcaster who appears as a guest on Joe Rogan's show and Tucker Carlson's show to pose such challenging queries as whether Winston Churchill or Adolf Hitler was the real villain of World War II. Cooper is known as a historian, presumably because he's read books. One of the authors he relied on is David Irving, perhaps the world's most famous Holocaust denier. Over the weekend, Daryl Cooper got himself in a spot of trouble thanks to his reliance on discredited figures. This time it was Trita Parsi, an infamously dishonest activist who echoes Iranian regime propaganda against Israel. Parsi tweeted a video of a young Gazan girl who was clearly suffering. Parsi claimed Israel starved her to death 2 days ago. Cooper was outraged on the girl's behalf and declared that Israel's counteroffensive against Hamas is a Gaza Holodomor. For those of you who don't know the reference, that's Stalin starving the Ukrainians. When asked how he knew it was real, Cooper's response was, "Because I trust Parsi." But as Eden Fishberger pointed out, the girl in the video was suffering from a medical condition. The journalist who took the video, posted by Parsi, had in fact mentioned that on his own feed she was flown to the United Arab Emirates for treatment. Contra Parsi and Daryl Cooper, the girl wasn't dead, nor was her condition a result of a food blockade. Parsi eventually deleted the tweet, leaving Cooper out on the limb all by his lonesome self. These are the historians accusing Israel of world historically evil crimes, like the experts doing the same and just making the stuff up. They rely on people sympathetic to Hamas. They rely on anti-Semites. This is the American Press Corps. This is Tucker Carlson. This is Joe Rogan elevating these anti-Semitic voices. But wait, there's more. This is me, not Seth Mandel, moving to Los Angeles. Look at how they're covering the riots out there. What the press wants you to presuppose is that the riots are not happening, but they're a good thing, and Donald Trump started it. The riots are not happening. That is what the media wants you to believe. Brian Stelter, for 3 days in a row, wants you to know that Los Angeles is fine. If you go to Los Angeles, you won't even see the riots. They're no big deal. Also, Donald Trump started this whole thing, and it's all his fault Los Angeles is burning. Which is it? And then they want to cover for the mayor of Los Angeles. This is Karen Bass. This is the mayor of Los Angeles. This is with Wolf Blitzer yesterday.
Let's go live now to Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. Hi, Mayor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi.
Hi. So what are you and your police force? I know how busy you are preparing for the hours ahead. What are you expecting on that front?
Well, I just have to say that if you dial back time and go to Friday, if immigration raids had not happened here, we would not have the disorder that went on last night. I will tell you that it is peaceful now, but we do not know where and when the next raids will be.
You got that? Had ICE not done its job and rounded up the illegal immigrants, everything would be fine. This is her today at a press conference.
We need to stop the raids. This should not be happening in our city. It is not warranted, and the only thing it does is contribute to chaos. This was chaos that was started at Washington, D.C.
So she says that we don't need ICE raids. Stop enforcing the law in Los Angeles is her argument. Stop enforcing the law. let's go back to the reporter, the left-wing reporter on NBC, MSNBC I played earlier. Listen to this.
The big picture is Los Angeles is a so-called majority-minority city and a majority-minority state. There are more people of color that live in Los Angeles than white people at this point, and many of those people are undocumented. By some counts, 10% of the population of L.A. County, one of the largest counties, the largest county by population in the United States, is undocumented. Maybe it's
undocumented. He means illegal, but he won't bring himself to say that. So a tenth of the population of Los Angeles are illegal aliens, and Karen Bass, the mayor, says enforcing the law to deport the illegal aliens is what's causing the problem. It's not the open border and not the licentiousness and allowance of Los Angeles and California for the law to be broken. It's actually enforcing the law is the problem. These are the people that are platformed in the media, the reporters who insist the rioters are in the right and that it's the National Guard's presence that caused the problem. Never mind, L.A. police chief says actually the violence came from the protesters and the National Guard wasn't even present when the violence started. Never mind, the L.A. police chief says they're overwhelmed and they need the help. Never mind the L.A. police chief saying he's not allowed to help the National Guard and he's not allowed to help ICE. No. The position of the talking heads on television is the rioters are in the right. The riots are not happening. They're not affecting anyone. And by the way, Donald Trump started it. You've got the American media on the side of Hamas. Remember last week, for the guy in Colorado decided to firebomb the Jews. He was worked up, among other things, by the report that Israel had been firing on people in a humanitarian aid line, which was not true. It turned out it was Hamas. It was thoroughly discredited. And the BBC, CNN, NBC, the New York Times, multiple other press outlets, they all ran with Hamas's claim that it was Israel. And then they had to, whoa, actually, we don't know who it is. They would never say it was Hamas. Now they're on the side of the rioters. A free people need a free press. We do not have a free press. Our press is captured by its hatred and prejudices of Jews and Trump supporters. And you can't believe anything they say anymore.
Follow Eric on X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Search EW Erickson.
220 Chloe Perry, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Travel advisory in Norcross. Crash 85 northbound Jimmy Carter Boulevard. Exit 99. 3 left lanes are blocked. You're stacked up leaving 285. Think about using Buford Highway as an alternate. Heads up in Midtown. Got a stall, 7585 southbound at North Avenue. Exit 249. That's in the second left lane. And up in Bartow County, crash 75 northbound blocking the exit ramp to Main Street, exit 288. Traffic brought to you by Georgia Commute Options. With Georgia Commute Options, you can get more out of every mile, earn prizes, gift cards, and other cool deals when you switch from driving alone to a cleaner trip. More at mygco.com. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
95.5 WSB is giving you a chance to see world-class musician Hauser June 29th at Synovus Bank Amphitheater at Chastain Park. For more information and to enter to win 4 tickets to see Hauser, courtesy of 95.5 WSB, visit WSBradio.com.
When markets get rocky, the worst thing you can do is nothing. Hi, I'm David Nicholas, president and founder of Nicholas Wealth Management. Times like these demand action and a plan you can trust. That's why we rely on our trademark Retire Ready Bucket strategy. This strategy is designed to place a percentage of your portfolio into lower risk, income-producing income bucket, aiming to generate steady cash flow for the first 10 to 15 years of retirement. Meanwhile, your growth bucket is filled with dividend and growth stocks, which has time to recover when markets are going crazy. So call Nicholas Wealth today at 678-990-8500 or visit nicholaswealth.com to schedule a time to sit down with our team to review your plan. This strategy was crafted by experience. It's battle tested, and it's how you aim to keep your retirement on track even when the markets are not. So call Nicholas Wealth today at 678-990-8500 or visit nicholaswealth.com. At Nicholas Wealth Management, we're prepared. Are you? Don't wait for the next headline to shake your confidence. Call Nicholas Wealth today, 678-990-8500 or visit nicholaswealth.com. Nicholas Wealth Management. Retire ready.
Nicholas Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies.
Neither the information nor any opinion expressed is to be construed as solicitation to buy or sell a security or personalized investment, tax, or legal advice.
If you've ever organized your closet only to have it look like a bomb went off in there 1 month later, then it's time to call Artisan Custom Closets. Reach-in closets, walk-in closets, pantry spaces, garages. With a custom spacious closet from Artisan, you'll never have to deal with all that clutter again. All your stuff neatly organized and designed to stay that way. Call the Closet Bomb Squad, Artisan Custom Closets. They'll diffuse your clutter and make it safe to enter your closet again. ArtisanCustomClosets.com.
Hi, it's Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. Over the past 30 years, we've seen countless lives change for the better and health issues greatly improved, if not completely resolved, by customers changing their diets, starting with real bread. At the Bread Beckers store in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real, delicious bread loaded with fiber and nutrients from real whole grains. A healthy, affordable solution for your family that can change your lives. For various customers, we've seen cholesterol levels drop 85 to 100 points in just 1 month, blood sugar stabilize, anemia corrected, and hundreds of stories of warts going away. In one case, as many as 500 warts gone in just 2.5 weeks. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of whole grains and real bread. Let us help you take the first steps to better health. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
It's Eric, and one of the questions I get asked all the time is, Erickson, where do I get a computer? I don't want to worry about the setup and all the tech support stuff. Y'all, you go to Vision Computers. Call them at 404-COMPUTE. Listen. When you call Vision, you're not getting stuck in a maze of hold music or menus. They answer the phone 15 seconds on average. That's right, 15 seconds. Real people, real help, real fast, right when you need it. And here's the part I love. You got an older computer, you got programs you rely on. Maybe QuickBooks or a niche software for your small business. You're afraid a new computer means losing it all or spending days doing transfers. Vision Computers got you covered. As long as your software is supported in Windows 11, they can move all your programs from your old computer to the new one efficiently, safely, and fast. It's like handing off all the hassle to someone who's an expert and knows what they're doing. So if you're thinking your old computer is fine but slowing down, maybe time for a new one. Call 404-COMPUTE today. That's 404-COMPUTE. Let Vision Computers take care of everything. You're never going to want to buy a computer another way.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Get Eric's daily show prep email. Text DATA to 33777 and you'll be in the know.
Hello, my friends. Glad to have you with me. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Now, listen, I small plug here. Before we get on to other stuff, I started this new podcast that just kind of it's taken on a life of its own, and it's less than 8 minutes every time. I haven't done one more than 8 minutes, and it's just like right now we've got news percolating out there that I can't get to in the show. It hasn't fleshed itself out. By 3 p.m. I sit down, I get all the news that's breaking in the afternoon, and so it's just the 4 things that you got to know before you get home from work. And so you listen to the show. You don't have time to listen to all 3 hours on your way home, but you have less than 10 minutes to actually get the 4 big headlines you need to know, most of them happening this afternoon. Like, for example, this one makes me sad, and it just hit the wires. It does make me sad. Lee Corso. He is going to have his final college game day appearance at Ohio State. It'll be week 1 of college football. ESPN's flagship show will go to Columbus, Ohio, where the Buckeyes are going to face Texas. Should actually be a really good game. Texas versus the Ohio State. Notice I said the Ohio State University and the Texas Longhorns. And Lee Corso, 89 years old, that guy. Like, you know, even when I was growing up and I wasn't really as into football as I've gotten older, I loved watching All Game Day, and Lee Corso is phenomenal. He played at FSU in the 1950s, which was just wild. He played alongside Burt Reynolds. Just impressive. But I got to say that Lee Corso is going to be missed. He's been a great addition to that show, and he's going to retire. So he will do the first week of College Game Day, and then that's it for him. God bless him. Ohio State, Texas is going to be must-watch TV when that kicks off the first week of college football. Now, I got to tell you about the Eden Pure Thunderstorm, because right now you can get 3 of them, and you can save $200 by going to EdenPureDeals.com. EdenPureDeals.com. You'll see a discount code box on the front page of the website. You put in ERIC3, E-R-I-C-K, the number 3, at EdenPureDeals.com, and you can get 3 of them. Now, what are they? You're unfamiliar with the product? It's an air purifier. It gets rid of smoke and dust and pollen and pet dander, but I don't use it as an air purifier. It's filterless. You don't have to get a subscription, but here's how I use it. It is a powerful odor eliminator. It generates ozone, and ozone particles are O3. It's an unstable oxygen particle, and one of those atoms of oxygen want to go somewhere. So what happens is the ozone hits the ionized particles that are odors, and the one oxygen is given up to eliminate the smell, and it just works everywhere. It works. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ERIC3. Wipe out all odors with the Eden Pure Thunderstorm.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. With thousands of 5-star reviews, you can trust us to bring happiness home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It's 2:30. I'm Veronica Waters. News is brought to you by FGA Roofing. WSB's top local story, the Georgia Supreme Court delivers a blow to the state election board, ruling 4 of the 7 rules approved by it before the November 2024 elections are invalid and exceeded the panel's rule-making authority. Those rules include mandatory hand counting of ballots and one regarding certification of results. The court's sending 2 other rules back to a lower court for review. Sharp questions and criticism for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth today as lawmakers in the House demand details on his moves to deploy troops to Los Angeles. Lawmakers also expressed bipartisan frustration that Congress still hasn't gotten a full defense budget from the Trump administration. The Marine Corps Commandant, meanwhile, says hundreds of Marines deployed to the L.A. area on White House orders have not yet been called to respond to the city's immigration protests. General Eric Smith says they are there only to protect federal officials and property. Affordable housing, a hot topic today. At Cobb County's commission meeting, recent Walton High graduate Carter Ray telling commissioners he worries for the future of his generation.
I'm scared that I'll never be able to own a home, forced to rent for my entire life, that I'll never be able to achieve the American dream. And so are tens of thousands of young people across the county who don't often have their voices heard in this room.
Others are concerned about new apartment and townhome communities putting a strain on local schools by increasing student enrollment beyond capacity. Some district leaders also worry high-density housing could stretch resources and require costly expansions. It's 2:32. Live team coverage of traffic and weather just around the corner.
Y'all, it's Eric. I know as a homeowner, you start seeing the cracks in the wall or the door start sticking. You wonder what's going on. You could have a foundation problem. Engineered Solutions of Georgia is the only foundation repair company in Georgia with licensed engineers on staff providing the highest quality of work. If you got concerns, reach out to them for a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now.
When you plan your next flight, you should plan to park at Park ATL Select, the best kept secret at the airport. Only 5 minutes from your car to the terminal. Park ATL Select. It's close and convenient. Best of all, you can reserve a covered spot, so you never have to circle the lot. Online reservations at Park ATL Select. Close, convenient, and covered airport parking. Reserve your spot today at myparkatl.com.
It's your money. Get it sooner. All you need is direct deposit with a checking or savings account at Coosa Valley Credit Union. This is Andy Harris, president of Coosa Valley Credit Union. Not only can you get your money sooner, but we believe in kinder banking where you deal with real people in person. So come see us.
Belinda Skelton here for Atlanta Vision Institute, and I have Stephanie with me. She's a patient of Dr. Ashraf, and Stephanie recently had the laser optics procedure. Stephanie, why did you have the laser optics procedure?
I wanted to be able to not ever use reading glasses again because I got tired of pulling my phone out of my purse when I forgot them to blow things up, and I just wanted to see.
And how was life after laser optics procedure at Atlanta Vision Institute?
Incredible. I could read the bottom of a nail polish bottle. I don't need my readers, never used them since I've had my laser optics procedure. It's been amazing.
What would you say to people who are on the fence about having the procedure?
Do you want to see?
That says it all, folks. Folks, if you want to see like Stephanie, go to 2020atlanta.com. That's 2020atlanta.com.
Hey everyone, it's your buddy Shelly Winter here. Join me this Saturday at noon for The Car Guys with Kevin Deutsch from Butler Lexus of South Atlanta. Buy or lease, fix or sell, everything you want to know about cars, we will cover Saturday noon to 1 right here on 95.5 WSB.
It's 2:34. Live team coverage of traffic and weather begins with Alex Williams.
Travel advisory continues on I-85 northbound into Norcross. Crash 85 northbound at Jimmy Carter Boulevard, exit 99. Taking out 3 left lanes. You're stacked up from I-285 there in Doraville. Use Buford Highway as an alternate there. Had a crash downtown, 75-85 southbound at North Avenue. They've moved that off to the right shoulder, but afternoon brake lights already set in place from the 85-400 merge. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Partly cloudy with a few hit or miss rain showers moving through. High 84.
81 degrees at 2:35. More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Veronica Waters, 95.5 WSB.
Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. I'm delighted to have you with me. The phone number is 877-973-7425 should you wish to be on the program. And if you text the word DATA, D-A-T-A, to 33777, you can get the show notes and a discount of the show notes as well, which would be worth it for you. Now, I got to talk about an absolutely obscure story none of you care about, and you should care greatly about it. Because we got to talk about an archipelago. What is an archipelago? It is a string of islands, and there's a relevant one to us. The Chagos Archipelago in the Indian Ocean. It is in the middle of nowhere. And it includes an atoll called Diego Garcia. And the United States military has a massive military presence at Diego Garcia. The Diego Garcia naval area is right smack dab. If you were to throw a dart into the center of the Indian Ocean, would you just about hit Diego Garcia? Now, let's go north from the Chagos Islands to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka made a bad deal with the Chinese a number of years ago. The Chinese, as part of their Belt and Road Initiative, offered a lot of money to Sri Lanka in its help in building a new port, an airport on the north end of the island. You know, Sri Lanka had been in a civil war for a very long time with the Tamil Tigers. They finally had peace, and then they got a hippy-dippy prime minister who insisted the whole island. Now, you all need to pay attention to this one because you got these freaks in this country who want to do the same thing. The prime minister in Sri Lanka insisted that the country change its farm policy and everybody go fully organic farming. He wanted to cater to Western sensitivities and liberally lead opinion in the West and insisted they go to fully organic farming. No pesticides, nothing. Thus began the Sri Lankan famine. Crops weren't growing. Weeds were overwhelming them. Bugs were eating the crops. And it caused a financial crisis in addition to a humanitarian crisis. And Sri Lanka defaulted on its loans with China. And what did China say? You give us the port we helped you build. And suddenly, China begins to creep in to the Indian Ocean theater of war. Now, the British owned the Chagos Islands. They were part of France's territory. They were a colony of France. But in 1814, with the end of the War of 1812 that affected us in the French-British War, under the Treaty of Paris, France signed them over to the United Kingdom. They were part of the British Indian Ocean Territory. Well, now, having expelled the Chagosians from Diego Garcia to build a massive military operation with the United States, the Chinese are getting their ally, the Mauritanians, to saber rattle to the British. They want their island back. And guess what? We now have a pretty progressive prime minister in Great Britain who is just dripping with white guilt. White guilt over British colonialism. And he's thinking about letting the Chagos Islands go back to the allies of the Chinese. I'm going to read you this just from Wikipedia. In November of 2016, the United Kingdom said it would not permit Chagosians to return to the islands around Diego Garcia. In July 2021, the Chagos Refugee Group UK submitted a complaint to the Irish government over issues, and now they are relitigating the issue of Chagos Archipelago sovereignty. They got the United Nations involved. They got the International Court of Justice involved, and they've put bullying the progressives in Great Britain, say, we want our island back. We want our island back. Joe Biden, you should know, had said he was open to the idea of restoration of sovereignty to Diego Garcia. The British decided they would cut a deal. Here's the problem. That deal undermines American military interests in the Indian Ocean, and every single person other than the British Prime Minister can actually see that the Chinese are behind the pressure campaign. The Chinese are legitimately behind the pressure campaign. Now, I want to play you some audio. This is from Niall Gardner. He works at the Heritage Foundation. He's in charge of the Thatcher Center there. He testified to the Committee on Foreign Affairs, Subcommittee on Europe. Listen to this.
NATO remains the essential force that holds back the Russian bear on its eastern flank and keeps in check the imperialist ambitions of Vladimir Putin's murderous regime. Its role is vital in the defense of Europe in the face of Russian aggression. Without NATO, the brutal reality is that Russian forces would very likely today be rolling into the Baltic states and deep into Europe. We should not underestimate Putin's malevolent intentions and his desire to conquer further territory in Europe. To sustain the alliance, America's NATO allies must fully participate in burden sharing with the United States. The Trump presidency is rightly applying pressure on America's allies to do far more to foster true partnership rather than dependency, especially as the US must increasingly focus on the immense threat from communist China in the Indo-Pacific. This cannot be a two-tier alliance where the United States carries the overwhelming military burden for the defense of the free world, while some European allies build vast welfare states. In 2024, only 22 NATO members spent the 2% of GDP on defense agreed to by the alliance in 2014. This is hugely irresponsible. This includes some of the biggest nations in NATO, including Italy, Spain, and Canada. Last year, Canada embarrassingly spent just 1.4% of GDP on defense, a shockingly low figure for the world's 10th largest economy. As Heritage Foundation research has shown, European NATO members have collectively underfunded their own defense by $827 billion since 2014, nearly equal to the entire annual US defense budget. This is a staggering figure. As NATO leaders gather shortly in The Hague, there is, however, growing calls for optimism. President Trump's tough love strategy has made a tremendous impact. In just the first few months of his presidency, Donald Trump has already significantly strengthened the resolve of the NATO alliance. President Trump is not the destroyer of NATO, as his critics allege, but the savior of NATO.
Now, I'll stop there. That data is relevant because the United Kingdom is a NATO partner. And the United Kingdom is now insisting that it's going to build up its military, that it must build up its military, that it cannot rely on the United States. But in the process is negotiating away Diego Garcia to allies of the Chinese communists. Now, while this is happening, there's actually a story from the New York Post today. Another Chinese scientist from Wuhan, no less, is charged with smuggling illegal biological material into the United States. Changwan Han was arrested Sunday after landing at the Detroit Metropolitan Airport on a flight from Shanghai, according to charging documents. She was charged with smuggling goods into the United States and making false statements. She is the third scientist to be charged with smuggling illegal biological materials into Michigan in recent weeks. Yongkun Jian, 33, and her boyfriend Zhong Yulu, 34, were charged last year, allegedly trying to smuggle in crop-killing fungus. Jian is a Communist Party loyalist and a lab researcher at the University of Michigan. Upon Han's arrival to the U.S., border officials discovered Han sent 4 packages that contained biological materials related to roundworms from China. The packages were sent in 2024 and 2025, were addressed to individuals associated with the lab at the University of Michigan. Han lied to officers, said she didn't send any packages to members of the Michigan lab. When FBI and Homeland Security investigators grilled Han, she admitted to shipping the biological materials to the lab from her research as a PhD student at the College of Life Science and Technology at Hangzhou University of Science and Technology in Wuhan. So we've now had 2 Chinese citizens at this lab at the University of Michigan sending a fungus that destroys crops. And now we've got invasive Chinese roundworm samples coming into the United States. The Chinese are at war with us, and we don't even seem to realize it. And they're doing a very bold strategy where they are behind the scenes trying to manipulate grievances to target leaders suffering white guilt to get them to give up strategic access points for the United States and others. The Chinese want us out of Diego Garcia because they want the infrastructure for themselves. And so that they're using the Chagosians to claim colonizer grievances against the West, and you've got an idiot prime minister in Great Britain who may be falling for it. Donald Trump's going to have to stand firm on this one. We need to insist we're not giving up Diego Garcia. We need Diego Garcia. It is a strategic point. Think about it this. Just a month ago, the United States parked the B-2 stealth bombers at Diego Garcia, made sure they were not inside hangars so that everyone could see them on satellite, so the Iranians knew that we were serious about targeting Iran if they didn't come to the negotiating table. By the way, you should know, overnight, the Iranians launched a nuclear detonation test that suggests they're getting very close to nuclear weapons. The Richter scale registration showed it was an underground test, that they are getting close to nuclear weapons. And like the Obama team and the Biden team, inside the State Department and the Pentagon, some nefarious group, probably infiltrated by the Iranians, are whispering in Donald Trump's ear, telling him, don't do anything, cut a deal, cut a deal, cut a deal. And every time they say cut a deal, cut a deal, cut a deal, cut a deal, they get ever so closer to having nukes. And when they have nukes, there's nothing we can do. Look at North Korea. We know they've got nukes now. We've given up on trying to contain the North Koreans. Now is our opportunity to stop the Iranians. But the people claiming they mean peace, they actually want a nuclear Iran. They want a nuclear Iran because many of the voices who are whispering about it are actually anti-Semites. Iran is pledged to use nuclear weapons to wipe out Israel because Iran is a theocratic state that believes the elimination of the Jewish state is a key piece of bringing the Mahdi, which is their version of the apocalypse. They are pledged to that mission. That is what they want. They will use nukes against Israel because they have a theocratic belief that that will bring about the end times. And they'll be on the winning team in their mind. Now, I've read to the end of the book they're not, but they think they are. Nonetheless, these things are playing out, and we're all distracted by riots in Los Angeles, and this distraction should not separate us from the real dangerous picture of what's going on in the world. The Chinese are allied with the Iranians and the Russians, with the North Koreans. We've got a growing Axis coalition against us in the world. We got to stand firm and keep focused and stop letting world progressive leaders fall over with white guilt over colonialism. Frankly, the British Empire was a force for good in the world, and the British should stop apologizing for it. They settled and civilized a great deal of the world, and it's not a coincidence that almost every single one of the governments that was under British rule are one of the most stable governments on planet Earth. It's the Spanish and the French colonies that went off the deep end. The British, by and large, are pretty good civilized democratic states. They should stop apologizing for it and stop letting the Chinese make them feel guilty. Absolute nonsense. In fact, if you want a great study on this, a great history class, you can get it from Hillsdale College. If you go to ericforhillsdale.com today, you never pay a penny at Hillsdale College taking some of their great classes. They really do have great classes. Let me give you the subject matters: history, philosophy, religion, literature, politics, economics, fine arts, math, and natural sciences. There are some great ones. Just the history classes alone are phenomenal on ancient Christianity, the Second World War, Western heritage from Genesis to John Locke, American heritage from colonial settlement to current days, Winston Churchill and statesmanship. Really, really good stuff from Hillsdale College, and you can take it completely for free. These classes are done by Hillsdale's fantastic faculty. You do them at your own pace. They have a number of hours. They're broken into lessons. Like, for example, the Introduction to Western Philosophy is a 7.5-hour class. It's broken into 14 lessons. All you do is you go to ericforhillsdale.com, you sign up, you put your email address in, you get going. You get a certificate of completion from Hillsdale College when you're done, and then you go back and take another one. Find the ones you're interested in and take. Learn about a topic you want to grow in and know more about. It's not indoctrination, it's education. Get the certificate of completion, and you don't pay a penny, but you do learn what sets Hillsdale College apart, what makes them unique, and understand why it's now harder to get into Hillsdale than it is Harvard. Go to Eric, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com today.
You're at the intersection of politics, news, culture, and current events. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
251 Coolray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Some heavier rain showers moving along the west-northwest side of the perimeter, so just use caution as some of that heavy rain is causing for some slippery roads out there. Better news in Norcross, crash just cleared out of the two left lanes, 85 northbound, Jimmy Carter Boulevard, exit 99, so hopefully those delays from 285 will also start to improve as you leave the Doraville area. Traffic brought to you by the Georgia Lottery. Get ready for another Powerball jackpot tomorrow. Powerball players can win millions playing in-store or online at galottery.com, only from the Georgia Lottery. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
When traffic
no
hits,
traffic getting through in either direction.
The Triple Team Traffic Center has you covered.
Even the bridge over 75 is being held.
Your source for Atlanta's traffic.
Out of Spaghetti Junction along 285 westbound and a crash on Peachtree Boulevard, 141 southbound before 285.
Brought to you by the Coolray Lifetime Parts and Labor Warranty.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
A company that has been trusted in Atlanta for over 25 years has already done their hometown homework, like having the very best people, fair, honest pricing, exceptional customer service, and a focus on high-quality work. That's us. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage, Entry Doors, and Windows. Sometimes new isn't better, like out-of-town home improvement companies invading Atlanta with their inflated pricing and subpar work. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 Seasons Garages.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore.
Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
It's Eric. I don't know about y'all, but life happens in our kitchen. It's where we have our memories, our family time, our laughs. Well, you don't want a lot of downtime, but you may want to renovate your kitchen. You want one of those $1 million kitchen looks and get it at the fraction of the cost with Frugal Kitchens. They know that you've got plans for your kitchen, and they want to help you. And here's why I love them. They can have you cooking in 5 days from the start of construction and get you 18 months no-interest financing. FrugalKitchens.com. That's where you want to check them out. FrugalKitchens.com.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
You may not agree with him, but he tells you the truth. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Hello there. It is Eric Erickson here. Well, it's too late for the phone number. I got to say at the end, and I'll add in the details here on Josh Hawley's minimum wage push. Those of you listening to our affiliates in Missouri, look, I like Josh. He's a good guy. I don't know him well. I've met him a number of times. I remember when he was a Club for Growth guy, and then he got into the Senate and suddenly just completely changed. As the politics changed, he changed as well. And I don't know what's going on, but now he wants a $15 an hour national minimum wage. The best minimum wage is no minimum wage. There's no reason for a federal minimum wage. We shouldn't have a minimum wage anywhere in the country. We simply shouldn't. But he's got this idea in his head that we are some sort of workers' paradise now, and the GOP needs to be so fully aligned with the working class that whatever the big unions want, the big union should get. And all he's doing is lining the pockets of union leaders with this nonsensical idea. Look at California and other states where we can see businesses have been hurt and gone out of business because of their $15 an hour, $20 an hour minimum wage, depending on the state they're in. I mean, we actually have the data on this, despite left-wing protests to the contrary. In Washington State, in the Seattle area, they jacked up the minimum wage, and guess what happened? People lost benefits at jobs. They lost health care benefits to save money. Some people actually lost their jobs. In California, restaurants, in particular fast food restaurants, have either gone out of business or they've adjusted the people they've hired. They've changed their hours to accommodate. A $15 an hour minimum wage is bad economic policy. You should let employers and employees working in arm's length transactions set minimum wage. Conservatives understand this, and so it's really galling now for the media to say, look, conservative stalwart Josh Hawley, you can't be a conservative and advocate for a nationalized minimum wage. You simply cannot be a conservative. You can be socially conservative, and he is. He's a pro-life warrior. but you cannot be a conservative intellectually, philosophically, when you are engaged in so many boneheaded, bad economic ideas like Josh Hawley's been touting over the last couple of years. The growth of unionization, collaborating with Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders on labor laws, the minimum wage. No, it's a terrible idea. I don't know why he decided to change what he stood for, but he has radically overhauled his worldview. And the conservative movement cannot embrace a national economic minimum wage. It's bad policy.
WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
I have family members who have skin cancer.